Now, to be fair, I probably should have started going live before I made the tweet, but I made it anyway, so we're here now. Now, to be fair, I probably should have started going live. I'm gonna test the audio like this. This is gonna be funny. Anyway, so we're here now. Now, to be fair, I probably should have. Ah! Well, the audio works. Yeah, that was funny too. Ayo, ayo. Yeah, that's pretty dang funny. At least in my book, I think it is. All right. Since that's already set up, a lot easier than I expected it to be. And I'm not as tired today, so maybe I can actually get some stuff done. Um, so more Higurashi. Um, the first Higurashi visual novel so far to not have us being Keiichi, or at the very least being in Keiichi's POV. But it's been like 2 weeks. I actually don't remember who we play as. Um, Either way, Higurashi. I got no joke. I got no funny to insert, really. It's more or less, yeah, I'm gonna read and lose my mind. But mostly lose my mind. Because I don't know. Alright, let's continue. This ought to be interesting. Also, I'm scared because, well, not for like Higurashi, because I know what to expect from Higurashi most of the time, but I made some sandwiches before, right? Because I didn't want to stream hungry and dying. But bread have mold. Now, there wasn't mold that I could see on the bread that I put on one of my like stuff, right? But the one that I did pick up did kind of scare me because it had mold on it. I didn't put it on anything. And so if I start dying later down the line, well, you know why. And I'm going to blame the bread. Fucking, you can eat bread after the expiration date. My ass. Fucking what? Seriously? Who thought that was a good idea? Probably the people who want people to die due to mold poisoning or food poisoning. I don't know how it works for when there's mold on bread. The point is you'll die probably to it. Anyways. As soon as I stepped out, an intense atmosphere completely different than the interior of the bus assailed my body. Right now, Oishi or Hondea weren't beside me. That's right, at present I was alone in the middle of enemy territory. My adversaries probably thought I was just an ordinary tourist, but that was nothing more than a ruse. But if by some mistake my true identity was exposed, it brought back those terrifying words that I heard at the prefectural office, that if someone was attacked in Hinamizawa with a knife, there wouldn't be any evidence left behind. I don't seem suspicious or anything, do I? My clothing was pretty casual. It was exactly the type of clothing that a city slicker that viewed the countryside as a wholesome gateway would wear. Or getaway, not gateway, sorry. A camera and a knapsack. What? Inside were various things needed for hiking. It was only June, and maybe it was a bit unusual, but the sun was shining down like it was already the middle of summer. The fact that I didn't bring a hat must seem odd. No, it wasn't something to be concerned about. That's right, I was a normal tourist. Just normal. Was there anything else suspicious about me? Asking that, I turned around to look at the bus that was departing. Fuck you! Fuck you! We just started! You dick! You dick! We just started. Fuck you. All the passengers by the window were staring at me silently. They were staring at me, as if they had seen right through my proud little outfit, just staring, looking down on me. Countless stares rained down like needles on me from the windows open to air to air out the bus. All that rained down were stares. None of them were saying a word, but all the more, their silent stares told me more than a million words ever could. Hurry up and go back to Tokyo. You outsider.
いえ、私は。
There was no reason for me to speak. My quiet voice was drowned out by the sound of the engine. The bus, as if to torment me, set out slowly. After doing more than enough to intimidate me, sped off. Fuck this fucking shit. We just started. Oh my god, that's really where I left off? Now I regret not reading more last time I streamed this. Oh my god, fucking hell. It's as if to torture me. It slowly started driving away. It didn't just drove off like a normal bus. Fucking, I'm in disbelief. I'm in goddamn-lief. Oh my god, I like rubbed my eyes real quick and I just snapped the neck of my fucking model. The worst part about that, when I did rub my eyes, it did kind of sound like a neck was cracking, so when I turned back, I was like, oh shit. A thin film of sweat began to rise up from my entire body. According to the documents, it was a village that seemed wary of outsiders. Its population was small as well. If they saw an unfamiliar face, they would be quick to identify that face as an outsider. On top of that, nobody else had gotten off this stop. It was a bus stop that they normally just pass on by. Somebody actually getting off here? There was no doubt that it had drawn some attention. But this wasn't a slip-up. They were the ones who directed me to get off at the stop. There was nothing to worry about. I knew I was just nervous since this was my first undercover assignment. My more seasoned colleagues referred to us as the new generation that didn't know how to lose their cool. But that wasn't really true at all. In order to calm my breathing down, I exhaled the unpleasant air residing in the pit of my stomach. I couldn't help but pray that my apprehensions would disappear like the white clouds of exhaust expelled from the bus. There was a small shed there to serve as a shelter if it rained, and it was there I decided to wait. Inside the shed, one wall was plastered with posters advertising the dam opposition efforts. It was like the heartfelt screams of the villagers were recorded on that wall. Inside that shelter, I felt an inexplicable pleasure. Or pressure. Was it pressure? Hold on. Let me look back, make sure. Pressure, yeah. Okay. My bad. It wasn't like I had any real relation to the dam project or anything, but it made me feel hesitant about being inside there. That was just how filled with force of denial that space was. And inside that uneasy space was a girl. Oh, it's Rika! Hey! Okay, I was expecting something creepy. But it's Rika! Rika-chan! Inside that shed, covered in words written in broad bush strokes, braiding the policies regarding the dam calling for action, there was a girl sitting there in a drowsy gaze, as if half asleep. The two images clashed so much that I could only stand there dumbfounded for a moment, trapped in such a surreal environment. If I stepped inside, who knew what kind of oafish noises I would accidentally make. I couldn't be disturbing this girl's slumber like that. Having thought of this, I gave up on entering the shed. It was just a sleeping kid, so why was I so worked up about it? Finally I realized, this girl, to us, as a married couple, was the very image of an ideal child. Even after numerous examinations at the hospital, we didn't know for sure what our child's gender was. Whether we could tell if they were a boy or girl was, in the end, depended on whether or not we could get an image of their genitalia. Okay, I know that's how that works, but I feel uncomfortable saying that. There was, of course, no guarantee that it was a girl, but with many things as the way they were, the possibility was indeed high. Even so, Yuki had been saying that the chances it was a boy or a girl were even. But in my heart, I already decided that our coming child was a girl. Dude, if I was a parent and if I was a parent and I had a daughter, I would be more overprotective than I already am for my friends, and that'll say something. Like, no, I'm not gonna have like a biological kid, fuck that shit, but like I'm gonna be like, yo, protect, you know, that kind of thing. Cause I'm just fucking crazy or some shit, I don't know. Since that day, I decided until now, it was so fun to imagine how our child would grow up that I couldn't help myself. Amongst the numerous imagined forms, the one that I thought of to be the most ideal had materialized right in front of me. Of course, a little of it was due to the circumstances. In my ideal image, her hair would be on the short side. The girl in front of me, however, seemed to have long hair. It was almost as if someone taken my ideal and made just some small adjustments. It certainly wasn't something unpleasant, of course. Even so, I felt like sullying her just by looking at her like that. She had an immaculate, no, a divine air about her. I thought she was gonna scream or something with that face. That girl with an angelic smile, with a yawn wide as you could see her molars, woke up all of a sudden. I didn't mean to peep, but locking eyes with the girl who had just woken up like this somehow made me feel like I was playing a prank on her. I wasn't doing anything shady, but I became flustered. The girl spoke. No, cried out.
Me.
I wasn't quite expecting this. Hey there, Rika. But Meep. Like that character on the show with the puppets? With the orange hair? Is this a reference? I thought it was some sort of greeting that kids do. So in order to prove I wasn't a suspicious person, I responded in kind.
Me.
Me.
The girl stared at me, deviously, with a doll-like expression. Cute, but cold and hard to read. Well, I wouldn't be surprised. There was, after all, an unfamiliar man right in front of her when she woke up, who responded with meep when she said the same. Suspicious. She definitely thought I was suspicious.
Me.
Me?
We were both at a loss for words. No, the only one lost was me. The girl in front of me, as if inquiring about my motives, stared at me intensely. In the silence, I felt like I was the only one who had to say something first. Damn it. This girl is better at interrogating somebody than Oishi-san.
怪しいものじゃないんだ。私は。
みぱ
ニバ？
ー。みぱ
What I could only describe as a cold expression suddenly blossomed into a smile, and one that soon affected me. You might be familiar with the term angelic smile. To me, it was like that phrase was just created to describe a smile that she gave me. The girl smiling while saying Nipa probably wanted me to return the favor in some kind. That's right. This was a kid's form of communication. Having the other person emulate what you did, what you just did was a mutual understanding.
ニパ
みぱー。
It was a beautiful afternoon in the early summer. What the fuck was I doing?
みぱー。
Pipa!
ニパ
Well, whatever. This was interesting in its own way. If making somebody happy just with a smile is the work of the angels, then this girl was definitely one of them. I couldn't help but pray that my own child, who would be soon born, would grow up to be a girl like this. That strangely gentle moment was finally brought to an end by the arrival of a car. An older person waved at me from the driver's seat, a dry smile plastered on their face.
どうも、こんにちは。遅れて申し訳ないことです。昨日お電話くださった観光の方ですかね。
あ、はい。
お待たせして申し訳ねえ。いや、野良でちょいと遅れましてね。したらと、お乗りくださいな。天気もまんた崩れそうだから、ちゃけちゃけご案内しますよ。
天気。
ああ、ここいらは崩れると早いよ。今日は夕立になるかもな。そうなったら、ほんと写真さ撮るところじゃなくなるでしょ。ほら、乗って乗って。
Turning around, the girl was standing right behind me with an intrigued expression. Her body language somehow reminded me of a stray cat that followed you around after you played with it a little. So charming.
あれ、リカちゃまじゃねえですか。
ね。
ありがたや、ありがたや。
The girl, who was apparently named Rika, with an immaculate smile, and an old man praising her while rubbing her while rubbing prayer beads in his hands. It was rather a mysterious sight to behold. So the girl turns her face at me, tilting her head a little with a cutesy manner. After seeing that, the elder introduces me as a tourist who came to sightsee Hinamizawa. The girl Rika-chan said that with a smile as she clung onto my arm.
まあね、この村の自然がとても貴重だと聞いたんで、ぜひカメラに収めたいと思ったんだよ。私はこう見えても、とっても写真撮影が好きでね。
I already have a theory of some sort. So, Asaka here. He's going undercover. Is he perhaps going undercover as Tomatake? Tomatake-san? If that's the case, that'd be pretty cool. I'm probably most likely wrong on that, but that would be pretty cool. Ah! 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 Oh no! Ow! Tomatake Mark 2! No! Stop it! I was just joking! It was just a theory! A game theory!
富武？
牧野、僕も一緒に行ってはいけませんですか？
そんな、レカちゃまが来ても面白いことなんかなんもないですよ。レカちゃまは境内でマリ遊びでもしててくださいな。
The distinctly displeased expression creeped across Rika-chan's face. Being able to show one's emotion honestly on their faces was a privilege young children had.
もしお差し支えなければ、この子も連れて行ってあげてください。
When I said those helpful words, another smile spread across Rika-chan's face, and another nipa as she clung onto me again. Ah, not bad at all. I want this girl to call me Papa. No, Father. Dad, what the fuck? Daddy, what the no! What am I doing? Ever since I met this girl, I was completely off my game. Just calm down.
レカちゃまはダメだ言うても聞かんしな。知ったらんとお乗りください。
What is happening?
ささ、レカちゃまも。
The old man descended from the driver's seat and opened up the sliding door of the van, which had Onavaguchi Alliance Town Council stencil on the side. What the hell? Yo, Nix, thank you so much for the raid. How are you doing today? Hope your stream was good and whatnot. I am in the middle of reading the funny visual novel that gives me fear. uh, thank you again. Thank you for the raid. Appreciate it. For those who are new to seeing my existence, my name is Ashley, or people just call me Ash, whatever. I'm known for playing a lot of RPGs and action games and stuff, but on occasions, including this one, I only read visual novels that include Higurashi, and, well, I can't forget about Higurashi. It's just a good old time, if you ask me. But anyways, next, how are you doing today? I hope you're doing good. Hope you're well. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good so far. I mean, the first 5 minutes I got into this, I already had some beating eyes staring at me, so it kind of scared me. So, it was a little nerve-wracking, but hey, what you gonna do? You doing okay? Gotcha. Hope your stream went good and whatnot. What were you streaming? Sounds like a good old time. Let's see. That Rika-chan brushed me aside, dove into the sea, and began bouncing right away. Rose Short played Raph. Ah, I see. Didn't Raph get Raph got like a new update recently or something? That was like a big update if I recall correctly. Wanna lurk for a little bit? Alrighty, yo. Much appreciated for the raid. Thank you. It seemed like she was thoroughly enjoying the bouncy springs. Like they finalized the story? Gotcha.
そんじゃお客人が座れねえですよ。やだ、こら、リカちゃま。
Huh. Girls are nice. I wonder if my child will play around like this too. No. It was written in the guide to raising a child that you shouldn't dote on them. Kids are kids. If you don't raise them strictly without spoiling them.
中でバインバインでニパー。
ニパ
I'm definitely going to be a terrible father. I mean, I'd be a terrible mother, to be fair. It's decided that I would be a doting parent before my child was ever even born.
そんじゃお客さん、風景の綺麗そうなとこで適当にご案内しますよ。お昼は食べましたかいね？
ええ、ホテルで軽食を。
そうですか。では参りましょうかね。
南沢観光に出発なのですよ。わーいなのです。
君はリカちゃんでいいのかい？
そうなのですよ。フルでリカと言いますです。もう繰り上がりの足し算とかもできますですよ。
ああ、そうなの。それはすごいな。
お指とかは折ってませんですよ。ちゃんと暗算でできますですよ。
I used to do it in my head pretty well too, Rika. Yo, let's go. The way she insisted upon that was just too cute. At some point, the nervousness that I had had about being alone in enemy territory evaporated like it was never even there at all. I had to be at least a little thankful that I met this girl.
じゃあ出発しましょうかいね。南沢大自然ウォッチング。
Hinamizawa just sounds like a cursed name at this point after what I saw. The old man stepped on the gas with a great deal of gusto. Damn. Yeah, that's where Keiichi got hit with a car. What the? Okay, that's adorable. I like that one. The old man, who apparently was named Makino, was the same Makino who was listed as an auditor of the Onofuguchi Guardians. Anyways, she showed me around places that were all breathtaking. Even though I wasn't really here for sightseeing, I couldn't help but be impressed. First of all, this was different from the simple scenery of the city. The scenery of a charming village like this, no matter how mundane it seemed to the villagers, had a tranquil appeal to it. At first, I was only releasing the shutter as part of my tourist act, but midway through, I found myself taking pictures out of pure interest. Tourist traps had their own unique allure to them, but there was nothing like that here. I was especially captivated by all the unspoiled nature of this place. If there wasn't a whole uproar over the dam, I would want to bring Yuki with me and here some other time. I wanted her to breathe in this fresh air, as well as show her this fuck damn scenery. Yeah, I'm so good at fucking English.
こんなのが面白いのですか？赤坂は変な人なのです。
いや、こういう円筒状の郵便ポストなんて今はとても貴重だよ。どことなく漂うノスタルジックな雰囲気は渋いと思わないかな。
ひなみ沢は楽しいですか？
まあ楽しいよ。退院したらぜひ家内を連れてもう一度来たいよ。その時には生まれている子供も一緒にね。今は出産を控えて入院しているんだ。予定日がもうすぐでね。君みたいな可愛い女の子だといいんだけど。
お客さんはもうすぐおめでたですかいね。そんないけねえよ。奥さん放り出してこんなとこに遊びに来てちゃ。
I was momentarily at a loss for words. It was exactly like Makino said. There's no good reason for a man who was waiting for his wife to give birth to be playing around idly at this place. Did I slip up?
まあひなみ沢への旅行は前々からの予定だったんで、妻の家族が付き添ってくれているから大丈夫だし。
そんなに前から予定してたんならましかね間に合わんとかいね。いやそんだったらこんな窮屈な思いさせんと綺麗な観光バスで回れたのに。
Fuck the bus! It didn't seem as if Makino was actually digging in for anything. But if this conversation continued any longer, it would put some unexpected holes in my cover. I halted the conversation by pretending to take another picture.
じゃあ最後の一番景色のいいとこさ案内しましょうかね。
It was slightly before evening. The sun was still burning brightly, but a cool breeze had begun to mix itself into the air. It seemed my exploration of Hinamizawa with Rika-chan was about to be done.
一番景色のいいところですか？
そんなリカちゃま、境内からの景色さを置いて他にはありませんやね。
Hearing that, Rika-chan smiled even more.
では赤坂を僕のお家へご招待なのです。
リカちゃんのお家って
神社ですよ。古で神社。高台にありましてね。景色さ見られるんですよ。
古で神社。
The girl who's called the Furude Shrine her home, Rika. If I remember correctly, her full name was Rika Furude. And Furude was, that's right, one of the three families. Huh. Even if the Sonozaki family is said to hold all the actual power, it was still one of the old houses that held some authority. No, more important than right now was the Furude Shrine. If I remember correctly, Oishi had told me, within the grounds of the Furude Shrine, there were the offices of the Onabuguchi Guardians. And since the land around the Furude Shrine was private property, the police couldn't even set foot on there heedlessly. Furude Shrine, where even Oishi couldn't just simply set foot into. The main base of operations for the Onabuguchi Guardians. I had been given the unexpected opportunity to just enter there. Honestly, Couldn't have asked for more.
楽しみです。ぜひお願いします。
じゃあ酒酒参りましょうかね。天気も少し怪しいですからな。
The sky had suddenly become overcast. It wouldn't be odd if it was starting to rain soon. The cicadas, as if trying to finish their daily I can't read. Reading is not a real fucking... It's not a verb. What did I just say? Anyways, their chirps, shit, fuck like that. And before the evening, cried out even more. I can't fucking read, dog. I can't read. I have so many bad memories here. Last time we came to the shrine, we saw Rika-chan literally fucking dead. So, to say the least, I do not look forward to being around here, at least not for a very long time. Oh my god. I feel bad for this poor soul. The van stopped in the shrine's parking lot. Also parked there were numerous other vans with loudspeakers mounted on top of them to act as makeshift propaganda vehicles. On the side of each vehicle was scrawled, "The dam project must be demolished. Defend our homeland to the last. No Oyashiro-sama's anger." Or a slogan of a similar kind. They gave the feeling that even without using the loudspeakers, there was enough to overwhelm any onlookers. Vertical banners were erected in various places. The context of those banners were similar. They are all objections against the dam, or crude insults towards the government. There were horizontal banners, placards, and so on and so forth. They proclaimed that without a doubt this was the headquarters of the Onavaguchi Guardians. For Rika-chan, however, this hectic place was also their home.
着きましたのですよ。
Have we? Have we arrived in hell?
ただいまなのです。
I am scared, and I don't like any of this. Oh my god. Look how so close she is. She's gonna kill me. Yo, what's up, Evie? How's going? I'm in hell. Help me. Rika's scaring me, and she hasn't done anything yet. I think I just have PTSD from the past chapters. How you doing? I hope you're doing good today. Rika-chan crawled over my lap, excited. Oh, and exited the vehicle first. Makino, had noticed that I was looking at the protest banners.
ダム反対運動の事務所も兼ねてましてね。
Which is pretty poggers.
こんな風景もあんたらには反安保闘争みてえで懐かしいでしょ。
Student movements against government policies. Movements that bordered on terrorist activity were at one time commonplace, if only in order to garner global attention. Students holding out lecture halls, brawling with riot squads that charged in. It was an age where wasting one's youth like that was widely considered a road to glory. It was slightly before my time.
私は別に活動家ではありませんので、普通に学び、普通に卒業しました。国の政策にあのような暴力や立てこもりで対抗しようというのには、また。
Oh shit! I skipped it.
あんた、それはそれで立派な意見さお持ちだね。
政策に意見したかったら、同じ意見の政治家に投票するか、自ら政治の世界に飛び込み、正当な手続きを持って意見を主張するべきであると思っています。それが 民主政治の原点です。それに暴力で挑戦するなどあってはならないと思います。
For a young'un, you have fine. You have some fine beliefs. I saw that feeling of respect reflected in Makino's gaze. At the moment, something tugged on my sleeve.
赤坂が何を言っているのか全然わからないのですよ。
Rika-chan, feeling like she was the only one who didn't understand the conversation, had a look of displeasure on her face. That expression was so charming, I had to keep myself from grinning like an idiot. It's often said that a father wants to spoil her daughter rotten. I think I understood that feeling very
これ
well.
ね、リカちゃんには難しい話だったね。日本は平和の国だから自分の言いたいことは平和的に訴えなきゃいけない。暴力で訴えてはいけないということさ。
No matter how much I explained, a girl who was boasting about being able to carry digits over with adding things probably wouldn't understand. It probably wasn't something to talk about in front of Rika-chan anyway.
では赤坂、
I don't like that face.
僕たちの村はどうやったらダムに沈まなくなるのですか？
Even if I regretted my careless words, it's already too late now. Here I was at the main headquarters of the organization, telling them that their way of doing things was illegal, preaching that violence was not the answer. A complicated feeling had mixed itself in the respect of Makino's gaze, and it was finally then I realized it wasn't that simple. There wasn't a soul who would agree that what I was saying wasn't correct. Using violence to get one's way was something that everyone knew you shouldn't be proud of. However, right now, Hinamizawa was in a predicament that wouldn't be overcome with peaceful means alone. The legality of the Hinamizawa Dam project, through the efforts of the various propaganda campaigns enacted by the Onofuguchi Guardians, was being called into question. If they further strengthened their campaign, they might be able to suspend or even change the construction plans. Yo, Elf, what's up? Welcome to We're Not Being Keiichi Maibara in Higurashi for once. How is thou doing? Hope you is doing well today. But that was at the most just a possibility. If the government proceeded with the construction as planned, it wouldn't be long before this place was at the bottom of a lake. Doing good, everyone else too. Yeah, everything's going pretty good, though at the first 5 minutes of me streaming, I already got some people giving me bloody beady eyes, so it kind of made me wake up. But other than that, all's going good, I'd say.
僕たちはここでしか生きていけないのです。都会では生きていけないのです。
The words of this remarkably young girl were all too accurate, carrying them with the screams of the hearts and minds of the residents of Hinamizawa. Of course, there was nothing I could say to respond to that. I could only respond to Makino and Rika-chan's heavy words with silence.
すみません。よそ者が気安く言えるような問題ではなかったですね。謝罪します。
Makino, unsure how to reply for a while, could only laugh pointlessly.
お客人たちのようなよそに住んでる方々には関係ねえことですよ。南沢さん気に入ってくださったんなら、お客人のお友達みんなにも南沢さん素晴らしいところだって宣伝してください。そういうのが何十年何百年と広がっていけば、この村さダム底に沈めるなんてふざけた計画もやがてはついえるんですかね。
He followed that with a smile that said, "Please don't think much of it." Makino letting me not worry that much really was a stroke of good fortune. Becoming fuck. Anyways, with the idea of making friends with a little girl had made me completely forget my apprehension of being in enemy territory. Being reminded of this right before I was going to step foot into their headquarters might have been a good thing. If we had this exchange in the middle of their office, if there was a short-tempered youth in there, they probably might have come at me. Thinking of how things were, in the worst case, my life would have been in danger. It seemed that I looked quite, Despone. What the fuck? Makino, thinking that he had said something wrong, began fluster, trying to think of a way to improve my
本
mood.
当に軽率なことを言いました。本当にすみませんでした。
いいえ、そんなねお気にされないでください。
今日案内してもらった村のあちこちはどこもとても美しく、もう一度来たいと心底思わされました。そんな美しい村がダムの湖底に沈むことになれば必死の戦いになるのもわかります。
I had somehow managed to use my look to change the topic in my favor. After a bit, Makino had returned to his usual high spirits and seemed that he believed I was completely sympathized with his point of view.
そうそう。そんな話はこれくらいにしましょう。本当にとても景色さえいいところがあるんです。
行きましょうですよ、赤坂。
Rika-chan, seemingly happy to be free from all the boring and gloomy adult talk, bounded up to the stone steps. There was real no need to run, but in order to catch up with her, I also darted up the steps. There were several tents belonging to the town council erected in the shrine grounds. Inside the tents were several folding tables and chairs, and a number of the older town council members were livening things up with chit-chat. They weren't saying anything in fuck my life, like the dam project must be destroyed. It was just some relaxed idle chit-chat between the local geezers. The normal sort of calming scenery. At the entrance of the shed that looked like the meeting place, there was a large sign erected with Onofuguchi Guardian's headquarters written in bold brushstrokes. That was their base of operations. To be honest, it was a bit of a letdown. If you asked me what I was imagining, this is a bit embarrassing, but I had thought of it to be something a little more dramatic. Maybe with like barbed wire fences, even barricades. My first impression of this place, though, was completely different from that. It looked so simple, like a backwater town hall. It didn't look like anything other than exactly that. The old folks who were chatting around noticed Rika-chan's presence.
リカちゃまじゃないの。もう子供はお家に帰る時間だよ。
ここは僕のお家なのですよ。
The old folks, since she wasn't wrong. From that exchange, I could tell that this Rika Furude girl was loved by everybody.
牧野さん、その人?
Why do you have a Sprite? Why the hell do you have a Sprite? I don't like that. I don't like how you have a Sprite. Why does it make me feel you're gonna do something? You're gonna do something. I don't like this shit. Why do you have a fucking Sprite? Anyways, I'm Satan.
電話をくれた観光の人は?
そんですよ。
Why doesn't Makino have a fucking Sprite?
こちら村長さんに、ひなめ沢の君吉村長さん。
Never mind, this all of a sudden makes a lot of sense. He smiled brightly, but there was no mistaking that he would be scary if he got angry. By the looks of things, this old man was the president of the Onofuguchi Guardians, none other than Kichiro Kimiyoshi himself.
ようこそひなみ沢へ。
Thank you for reading the title card thing.
いかがでしたか?
I like it here.
静かでゆっくりしたところでしょう。
I really hope it stays that way, because I really like this atmosphere.
ええ、今日一日美しい場所をいくつも堪能させていただきました。貴重な機会をお与えくださったことを感謝します。
ふう、今時の若い方なのにまた真摯な方だね。
I just think being polite's pretty poggers. I don't think there's anything weird about it. What are you assuming? What are you assuming, huh?
うんうん。
I'm
喜一郎、赤坂に見晴らしのいいところを案内したいのですよ。
thinking that the formalities between myself and the mayor had gone on for too long. Rika-chan butted into the conversation. For her to call the mayor by his first name, though, I felt like it was a little strange, but none of the villagers seemed to mind. The girl, the Furude household, one of the three families, she was probably different than the average villager.
赤坂、こっちなのですよ。
Rika-chan tugged onto my sleeve. Not resisting, I allowed myself to be pulled over. And waiting for me was a magnificent view.
これは
Ah, it's the view!
すごい。
You know... Whoa, that's a lot lower than I... Whoa, okay. You know, every time I see this view, I always think to myself, damn, a lot of shit goes on, huh? I like try to imagine like some of the other scenes in this visual novel, and like if they could be like seen in some places, like from like the background or something. I could be like heavily wrong, of course, you know, and it's especially hard to tell because we only really see these scenes from one angle most of the time. But I digress. I think it's pretty cool. I think it's pretty damn cool. It was an observation deck that looked down onto the village. They, knowing that this was the best view in the entire village, kept quiet as I stood there awestruck. I was holding the camera, but I had completely forgotten to even glance through the viewfinder. This view, no. No matter what kind of film it had been printed on, it wouldn't be able to show everything. If there was a way to explain it, it would be that I would be able to put into words. It was just a breathtakingly spectacular view that I struggled to find a comparison. For a while, I was left awestruck. I could only stand there and wonder. A cool breeze helped abate the heat rushing through my body. That comfortable sensation also left me speechless. Rika-chan, who had been holding onto my sleeve the entire time, spoke.
僕の一番のお気に入りの場所なのですよ。
As she said that, she showed me another adorable smile. The smile seemed very fleeting. If you ask why, that's because the view was from her favorite spot would eventually be submerged under the gap between green waters of the dam reservoir.
こんな村が湖底に沈むことになってるなんて信じられないよ。
I said that quietly so only Rika-chan could hear it. I regretted it as soon as I did, for those words were too cruel. However, Rika-chan didn't let them cast a cloud over her expression. In fact, she replied with a smile.
沈みませんよ。ダム計画なんて必ずなくなっちゃいますのです。
It was just like a little girl to say something like that. There was no basis for her saying so. It was just her wish.
赤坂はこの村が沈んでしまうと思っていますか？
I mean, knowing that this is in the past and all that shit, I know damn well that it won't be submerged.
沈んでほしくなんかないよ。
I knew how important the dam was. I knew that it was necessary. I just didn't want to recognize the sacrifices that would be made. I agreed with the dam project in general, but I couldn't agree with some of the details. But if this meant that this girl's beloved scenery would be taken away from her, I might be able to object to the dam. I might be able to ignore the interests of the nation, the development of Japan, all for the sake of one girl's smile. I'm not really much of a humanist, but How sentimental of me.
沈みませんよ。ダムの計画はもうすぐなくなりますですから。
Her words weren't just hopes or dreams, but were seasoned with a hint of resolve. As if she was talking about an unchangeably predetermined outcome. As surely as the sun rising in the east.
もうすぐなくなる？
Wanting to ask why she believed that, I turned around.
はい。なくなりますのですよ。
どうしてそう言い切れるんだい？
それはなのです。
She seemed to want to answer, but as though unable to find the right words, she swallowed back at what she was about to say.
赤坂が何をしてもしなくても、ダム計画は今年で終わりになってしまうのです。
And how do you... Don't get me wrong, I already know that the dam project is going to end and all, what with the fight and everything. I know, according to context clues and everything I'm gathering here, this is taking place in the past, before the whole dam project shit. But you seem very confident, and honestly, Rika, that scares me.
もう決まっていることなのですよ。
That was a lie. If something like that had already been decided, then the Anavaguchi Guardians would have no reason to continue existing, right? From my point of view, it was like that they were doing nothing more than throwing themselves into an endless battle. If they knew that the dam project was cancelled, it would feel much more relaxed around here. This village, though, could hardly be called relaxed. For evidence of that, I just had to remember how charged the atmosphere was at the checkpoint, or at the bus stop. The villagers, with their misplaced resolve, were still fighting. And this girl, even knowing their villagers' grim resolve, had already declared their own victory. The villagers throwing themselves into an endless war, and this optimistic girl who said that they had already won. That contrast was somehow strange.
どうしてそう思うんだい？何か確信があるなら私に教えてくれないかい？
Rika-chan stayed silent for a while, seemingly choosing what to say.
だって、
だって
She looked because she was lost on whether she should continue or not. As if she was troubled on whether it was okay for her to say it. That kind of expression.
決まっていることなのです。他に言いようがないのですよ。
決まっているって言ったって。
It really is just like a little girl to say something like that. I couldn't believe it was actually true. She was only saying one thing, saying such things with confidence. My real mission that I had forgotten about during this fun-filled day resurfaced in the back of my mind. The kidnapping of the minister's grandson. Even I forgot about that. Had the Onofuguchi Guardians kidnapped the minister's grandson and already succeeded in negotiating the cancellation of the dam project? Did Kimiyoshi actually already know about that and was just playing dumb? Was that what this girl was really telling me?
赤坂、
The girl called out my name
なんだ
suddenly.
い？
東京へ帰れ。
Chill ran up my spine. Fuck you. Oh no. No, no, no. Oh no. Oh no, no, oh no, oh no, oh no. Rika now. Rika now. Oh no, no, no. Dude, okay, here's the thing. I don't know what would have gave me more chills if she had said that without the sound effect or with the sound effect that played. Cause I don't know, a lot of shit gets said in Higurashi, and I can never but every time that sound plays, it's like, what is that sound? It's like a violin fucking up or or like a guitar or something fucking up. It just gives me chills. Just thinking about it is like making me feel like I want to recoil. Oh no, this music. I haven't heard this music in a little bit. Huh? I wasn't only surprised at that sudden command. Ever since I came to this village, I never once mentioned that I was from Tokyo. I mean, based on my accent, she might have been able to guess where I was from. What was I getting so worked up over? It was probably the sudden and complete change from her demeanor.
あなたはさっさと東京に帰った方がいい。
Ah! 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 You see, ordinarily I wouldn't be scared of a child saying anything like this, but this is Higurashi. I've seen worse. Well, debatable, but still.
でないとひどく後悔することになる。
The girl had been holding my sleeve the entire time. She had been tugging at my sleeve since hurriedly dragging me over to show me this wonderful view. But this was the adorable Rika-chan I had spent the entire day with. There was no way she could be replaced with some doppelganger when I wasn't looking. She had been holding onto my sleeve this entire time, but somehow this girl was someone other than Rika-chan. She looked like Rika-chan, yet she wasn't. She was just some girl I had never met before. No, we're not gonna pull the bullshit like in chapter 1 where, oh, it's not Reina or Mion. Bullshit! Of course it was Mion and Reina. That girl had told me in a different voice that I would eventually regret coming to this village from the bottom of my heart.
それがあまりにもみすぼらしくて、今のうちから警告してあげているのです。
どうして私が後悔することになると。
いちいちうるさいな。
Not the image I was expecting. I couldn't believe that I was hearing such cold words from Rika-chan's mouth. I just couldn't believe it. Was somebody impersonating her using ventriloquism or some shit? Thinking of that, I wanted to take a look around, but the girl's gaze had me pinned down, making me unable to move.
あなたの親は、あなたが赤信号の横断歩道の真ん中にいるとき、どうして危ないのかを全部説明し終えるまで、あなたの手を引っ張らないの？引っ張るでしょ？
I mean, if they were good parents and really quick ones, then yeah, I'm sure they would.
まず歩道まで連れ戻してから、なぜ危険なのかを解くでしょう。つまりはそういうこと。
I mean, still, when you put it like that, it's still fucking blunt. The girl I had spent time with, Rika Furude, would not speak like that. She would speak with a cuteness of befitting her age, with believed childish remarks, expressing her emotions honestly. She definitely wouldn't speak with such pointed words.
警告はした。勘違いしないでほしいのは、私があなたを嫌いだからこういうことを言ってるわけじゃないってこと。死んでもいい人に危険なんかを教える必要はないのだし。
君は誰だ？リカちゃんじゃない。
What the hell is that sprite? As soon as I accused her of not being Rika-chan, she let out a strange, quiet giggle. It was a laugh not befitting a child of her age. The fucking second opening's just playing in my head. It was like she was possessed by something. You know, it's weird. She didn't lose the light in her eyes. She still has the light in her eyes. Almost as if she's, like, sane in a sense. Like, okay, maybe she's obviously not sane, you know, but, like, she seems like she still has a form of humanity left in her. If that makes any sense. Like, she doesn't seem, like, deprived of life or anything, unlike Reina, Mion, and even Satoko in Chapter 3. Was Rika-chan being attacked by some terrifying phenomenon? That occult idea came to mind without any sort of hesitation. Rika-chan is acting strange. Somebody help! Thinking that I yelled that, I turned to where the mayor was. I immediately realized that he was looking at us with a smile? That's right. To him, it looked like nothing more than me and Rika-chan were fooling around. He didn't notice that there was something terrifying happening to her.
赤坂の怖がり
Shut up. The girl had obviously grasped that I was afraid. Noticing that calling me a coward, she laughed again. That cackling girl approached me with a strange manner while still laughing, lost her balance and fell flat on her face. Rika-chan fell down. If it was just a while before, I would have extended to help her up without hesitation, but now extending a hand to this ominous girl who looked like Rika-chan but wasn't required a bit more courage than I had at the moment.
Me.
Fuck off! Fuck off! Fuck the fuck right off! She's just all of a sudden gonna change her demeanor in a matter of seconds. Oh my god, fuck off! The girl cried out thus. Then she squirmed upright and dusted herself off. Afterwards, she looked around restlessly with a blank expression crept across her face. You've got to be kidding me. Was she just making fun of me? That way of acting. It was as though, after being possessed by something, she had lost her memories of what happened.
冗談だろリカちゃん
Me.
I don't know if Rika-chan heard me or not. She just cried out like that, as if questioning herself.
リカちゃまもお茶が入りましたよ。塩大福もあるからにぜひ食ってきんさいな。
An old lady wearing a smock was waving energetically from the entrance of the office. Hearing that there were snacks, Rika-chan's expression changed.
はーいなのです。
A carefree smile. That was a familiar smile, one that belonged to the embodiment of my ideal daughter. Any hint of the creepy girl that was just there, spouting sinister words, had vanished.
ほらリカちゃま。手を洗ってきんさいね。バッチおててにゃ食わせるまんじゅうはありんせんね。ちゃんと洗いますですよ。みー。
Rika-chan responded with vigor, running off to the washing station that was along the side of the office. She stopped halfway, turning around to call me.
早く来ないから僕は赤坂の分までおまんじゅうが食べられてホクホクなのです。
You're fucking horrifying, and I hate every second of this. Oh my god, my fear just rises higher and higher. Honestly, I don't even know how to feel.
お手手を洗わない人はおまんじゅうが食べられないのですよ。
No matter how you looked at it, that was Rika-chan. Those words and the way she said them, no matter how you heard them, they were definitely Rika-chan's.
ほんでお客人、大人なんだからお手本を示してやってくださいな。
Some kids know more than what adults know. Fuck off. The old lady urged me to wash my hands. Without any resistance, I lined up beside Rika-chan at the Ross station. I stared at Rika-chan, intent on washing her hands properly, like she had properly learned at school.
みー、間違っていますか？
間違いって。
僕のお手手の洗い方です。金シールを4個しかもらったことないです。僕はお手手を洗うのがきっと下手なのですよ。
間違ってなんかないよ。それだけしっかり洗えてれば十分だよ。
それだけではダメなのですよ。ちゃんとたわしを使って爪の間の赤も落とさないと金シールはもらえないのです。
Making me look at my nails. Nope, they're fine, okay. Me second guessing myself.
リカちゃんは真面目で偉いな。
ニパー、赤坂に褒められましたのです。
Where does it go so wrong? Where does it go so wrong when she turns into a fucking deluded, psychotic bitch? I mean, well, then again, I don't even know if that was I don't even know if that was being psychotic at that point. That was like a fucking what would you call that? Yeah, what the fuck would you call that? All I know is that, dear God, I am fucking terrified. No matter how you looked at it, it was Rika-chan. There was no trace of that girl from before. Exactly what was that sinister girl?
リカちゃん、さっきのあれはどういう意味だい？さっきリカちゃんは私に東京へ帰れってそう言っただろ。
言いましたのですか？
I was at a loss for words. She didn't remember what the girl just now had said. Like I would ever believe something as occult could ever happen. Like I would believe that Rika-chan could be possessed by a strange girl and say those creepy things.
リカちゃんが確かにそう言ったよ。
Me.
Her expression told me that, despite my saying so, she had no idea. She wasn't playing dumb, she actually didn't know. Exactly. What was that just now? Just as Rika-chan had, I had let a look of confusion creep across my face. The two of us, both looking like we had no idea what was going on, must have certainly been a humorous sight to behold. While partaking in tea and snacks, I was shown a propaganda film shot by the Guardians that highlighted their resistance efforts. Older folks talked passionately of how long and grueling the fight against the dam was, but they fell on deaf ears. I was transfixated by Rika-chan, who had heard those stories countless times before and was just nodding off. Eventually, Rika-chan noticed I was staring at her and smiled as she rubbed her eyes. That smile was Rika-chan's, after all. There was no hint of that sinister shadow. After that, my unreasonable fear of Rika-chan lessened with the passing of time, but I could by no means forget what had happened. It eventually grew dark. The mayor said that they had prepared dinner, but I said I would come again tomorrow and took my leave. I had to return to the hotel and file my regular report to the with the section chief.
そうですか。ではまた明日もぜひいらっしゃい。お電話さくれればすぐに迎えを出しますんでね。
ご好意感謝します。ぜひ明日も遊びに来ようと思います。
ええ、さしてあげてくださいな。あんたリカちゃまに大層気に入られたみたいだしね。
Really? Tell me fucking more. I would love to know. Oh my god. I'm losing my fucking shit right now.
赤坂は明日も来ますですか？
Well, I don't want to, but the plot demands it.
明日は5次元で終わりですから、3時くらいに来てくれると嬉しいのですよ。
Fuck. Please come again. That pure smile urged me to do so. There wasn't a trace of that evil aura. Depending on what happened next, all might end up in nothing more than a hallucination. Thinking about it logically, if the daughter of the Furude household was one of the three families had taken the liking of me, then this was a strong foothold to my investigation from here on out. If this was a free ticket for a reason to visit Hinamizawa, if I could only treat that little incident as a figment of my imagination, then having this girl who was the embodiment of my ideal daughter grow attached to me, well, wasn't so bad either. I had successfully dove into the belly of the Onofuguchi Guardians, and had the mayor as well as other important members of the Alliance welcome me with open arms. This was a great turn of events. However, I still felt uneasy. Getting back to the hotel, I forced down an almost painfully cold beer until I could clear my mind. The shock from that strange incident continued to torment me. Fucking hell, what the fucking shit. The terrifying shrine girl. Wow. Fucking wow. There's only, by the way, I would just like to point out one thing, okay? Okay, this is something I'm gonna point out. Because this is what makes me more worried. This is what makes me super fucking worried. So, for context, I have all the Higurashi chapters on Steam, okay? With the 7th expansion mod. So, if we go down to the chapters that we've been reading, okay? So we have chapter 1, it has a total of 4 achievements. Usually you get like the achievements like, oh, you completed, you read up to a certain chapter, right? So like you complete chapter 1, for example, you get an achievement for it. There's also some bonus achievements you can get. So like, there's like a bonus achievement like, hey, you read the entirety of this chapter, right? And you can also have the achievement of enjoying the after party, which is kind of like a after story, sort of like with like the characters sort of like talking and stuff and whatever. It's kind of cool and whatnot. I never personally read those portions. I only just like kind of put them on auto and do something else on my computer just so I can get the achievement. But there's also an extra achievement to get the fucking when you read all the tips, right? So in terms of reading, in terms of like the optional achievements you can get, right? There are only 2 optional achievements you can get, which is reading the after party chapter thing and reading all of the tips. Everything else, when going through the entirety of the chapter by itself, is 100% you just get it, okay? So let's go back to what I was saying. So, chapter 1 has 14 achievements. Chapter 2 has 15 achievements. Chapter 3 has 16 achievements. So, you would think by proxy that chapter 4 would have maybe 17 achievements, adding an extra one, or maybe stick with 16, or maybe just have a little bit less. There's a total of 8 achievements. There's a total of 8 achievements. That is half of chapter 3's achievements. And the reason that worries me is because if this goes off of the same, like let me look through the locked achievements to see. Show off skills. So yeah, just like the other chapters, there are 2 optional achievements to reading the after party and reading all of the tips. So by proxy, I'm assuming that there's only around 6 to 7 chapters in this. That's what I'm getting out of this. And it makes me question, how long really is this? We only just hit chapter 3. I don't know. It's like, and I know there's going to be later down the line because I set a setting thing on where there's some choices I can make that can actually affect either getting a bad end or getting like the true end, right? So I know it's probably going to take longer in that regard due to that. Still makes me wonder, half achievements, what the hell? Anyways, let's go ahead and read the tips. Huh? don't know. You don't just what? Going smoothly. Sure fucking is. The sound of a car grew closer, followed by the sound of the braking as the engine cut out. At that moment, his up until now luckless footsteps drew adhesive as the man in the room dashed up to the wall beside the window and carefully peered outside. It was his comrade's car. Even so, he still didn't relax his guard. Eventually, the sound of footsteps approached the door. Thump, 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 thump. It was the passcode. What, Morse code?
帰ってきたね。開けちょくれな。俺だ。
Yakuza?
ああ、お疲れ。今開ける。
After the locks were undone and the door was open, the man appeared, his arms laden with swollen plastic grocery bags. The bags in his hands had Seven's Mart written on them, with bread and milk cartons available in the glimpse within. The contents of those bags were then spread out over a sheet on the floor.
カップラーメン買ってきちゃう。お湯沸かせな。小僧はどうしてる？ん？ずっと寝てる。手がかからなくて助かるよ。うんこ垂れるときは騒ぐけどな。
Oh, wait, these are the... Oh, fucking hell.
漏らさせんな。練習は万一の時、やばいって。分かってるよ。猿グツワは定期的にチェックんな。外れてもまずいん。きつくも染みつけちゃあん。窒息させたら意味がなん。分かってるって。あれ、携帯コンロのガス管頼まなかった？もうガスねえよ。聞いてねえ。だは。マジかよ。ついてくれよ。くそ、くそ。
He rattled the portable stove as he struggled to get it to light. Seeing that, the man who went to buy supplies let out a deep sigh, and with a backwards glance at the sight, began to walk to the corner of the room. The kidnapped boy was sprawled out on the sheet and that was spread out on the floor.
小僧、元気かいね。
Of course, the man didn't assume the kid was able to hear that question. That was because the boy's ears were plugged, with his eyes and ears thoroughly covered by packing tape. What the fuck? Also, his mouth was gagged with a thin, twisted-up towel. Because of that, the boy was unable to close his mouth properly, his cheeks sticky with his own saliva. Of course, that wasn't the only reason. Both his arms were tied tightly behind his back with a leather
今
belt.
んところ順調らし。命の心配はない。お前のじいさんがしぶり寄ったん。耳たぶの一つも切り落とさなきゃならんかったんけ。やらんくて済んで助かりよんよ。本家はこうと決めたら鬼やんね。どんな残酷なこと命令するかも想像つかん。その本家が小僧に傷一つつけるな言うてんから、とにかく順調なんだろうな。大臣はダム計画を撤回で水面下工作。ひなみ沢ダム計画は無期凍結へ。小僧の解放はいつ頃になるんだろうな。早く一服したいもんだぜ。本家が決着のタイミング測ってるだし。いつになるかはあらんが、近いうちやんな。
I don't know, man. It's like, how do I explain this? I feel a sense of, like, dread. Because I know there's going to be more that'll happen later down the line. Someone's gonna die. I'm calling it.
よかったな、小僧。もうじき解放されるぞ。
The men didn't know if their voices were being heard by the boy. For him, there was nothing he could do but continue to sleep to escape his harsh reality.
それよ、ガスをどうするんね。ラーメン食えんよ。ガス切れたなら言うてえな、もう。
Why I like rainy days. Do you now? The weather forecast had predicted that it wouldn't rain at all this entire week. It's not that I hate sunny days or anything. When every day is the same, unchanging sunny weather, however, everybody would long for a rain cloud or two. If it's simply clear skies for a week... What the fuck landed on me? What the fuck did a bug just shit on me? What the fuck happened? Anyways, if it was like a week or a month or a year, anybody would long for a rain... Yeah, right. The weather specialist said that they had carefully, whatever that word is, a large quantity of past data, so it wouldn't be so likely for a forecast to be wrong. I knew as much, at least. But even then, there was occasionally a day where I was hoping that it would be wrong, as I stared up at the blue sky. Was I being mischievous in hoping so? I waited and waited, feeling almost suffocated by the boring blue sky, undisturbed by a single cloud. If you could die from that suffocating feeling, then a population of the Earth would probably wouldn't have increased to this point. In other words, the only person who was being suffocated by this was me. And so, I welcomed the summer evenings where not even a weather forecast could predict the sudden shower. If I were to explain it like this, would you understand a little bit more about how I feel? Let's say that tonight's dinner was going to be curry rice. Is this Kay's house? Why are we seeing this from Kay's house? But when you're called down to the dinner table, what was waiting for you was instead an eggplant and bell pepper stir fry. This was just on your mother's whim, by the way. I definitely would be delighted by such whimsy. I don't really like eggplants or bell peppers, but still, I'd be delighted. The fact that there was a pre-established routine of curry rice that had been broken would be amazing. If tonight was repeated 100 times and 100 times you had to eat curry rice, yet for just one night that was changed to an eggplant and bell pepper stir fry, there was no way you couldn't enjoy that chance happening. I hate pre-established routines. I really hate when things are all decided beforehand. I personally don't. Why do you think I schedule my streams now? I have no love for boredom. I always get my hopes up that something today will be different from yesterday, no matter how trivial. It has been decided that this entire week starting today was going to be clear skies. The weather forecast decided upon it, so the god of weather must also feel obliged to do so. But who's to say that a rain cloud might not show up today, one day on a whim? It's something that nobody can say for sure, but because that thought remains in this world, such as myself can continue, or creatures such as myself can continue living without being suffocated. Tomorrow will probably be a hot and clear day. However, I'm the only one that knows that predetermined fate, even with but a 1% slim chance, sometimes changes. Hoping for that 1%, I hung up upside down weather charms on my sunlit that. In the end, I spend my days waiting for those unexpected things in life to happen. I pondered why I was still hoping for it. Why was I hoping for a rain cloud? The answer was simple. I had my fill of clear skies. Then why was I hoping for a rain cloud? The answer was simple. The fact that it was going to be sunny tomorrow was boring. So why was I hoping for a rain cloud? In the end, it doesn't really matter whether it rains or shines tomorrow. Basically, it was just that the rain would water my heart, which was withered with boredom. That's why, rather than a TV drama where the plot's already been decided, I'd prefer to look up at the sky. Edgelord. So is that Mion or Shion?
だいぶ血圧も良くなってきましたよ。そのお年でこれだけの回復力があるのは、いやいや、感服するばかりです。お嬢さんなら100でも200でも元気にお過ごしになれますね。
The young doctor in his medical coat said that he had undid blood pressure cuff from the arm of an old woman tucked away in her futon. Holy shit, we get to see Oryu! What the fuck?
わしんたいな死に損ないは早うしなんと若者の邪魔になっていけんね。
The old lady Oryu laughed faintly with a broad smile on her face. Then turning towards the sliding door, she called out in a strong voice.
しみこさん、かたえこさんおらんね。入江先生に麦茶でも入れてやりゃな。
The sound of rushed footsteps in the hallway drew closer, until suddenly the door slid open smoothly. What it revealed was a young girl. It looked like the old lady's granddaughter.
シミコさんは今日はもう上がっちゃったよ。
Oh my god! Little Mion! Where does it go so wrong when you start killing people, you crazy fuck?
いや、入江の先生に麦茶を入れたってんな。
うん、了解。抹茶も飲む？紅茶の方がいい？砂糖もミルクもたっぷり？
わしが加減するから入れんでええんね。砂糖壺とミルクも一緒に持ってきてんな。
はいはい。
The girl named Mion, after giving a rather uninterested response to her taskmaster of a grandmother, returned into the
先
hallway.
生の麦茶は来客用のガラスジャーに入れるんよ。ちゃんとお座布団もつけてな。
What's a coaster?
水滴もちゃんと拭き取っとくんね。
わかってるって。うっさいな。
A tired voice wafted a reply from down the hallway. The apathetic tone of the voice was thus far from normal. Or sorry, unusual. Fucking hell. The old lady let out a re-smile and slip across her face.
しょうがないやっちゃな。叱られるうちがはなんねえ、なんたく。
お嬢さんお嬢さん、まあ、そこまでは言わなくても、ミオンちゃんも若いなりに頑張ってますから。
あれの母親もな、しょうがないやっちゃったんね。よう似とる。
で、その母親の母親もまたそっくりなんじゃないですか？
The old lady bursts out laughing. Her expression showed that she hadn't taken the comment in the wrong way.
入江先生、申し訳ない。症状を開けてもらえんけんね。風が涼しそうだわ。
The cool chirping of the higurashi had at some point started leaking through the gap of the doorway. I'm just gonna call him Coach. I still don't know how to say that fucking name. Coach stood up and opened the door a bit. A refreshing breeze pushed through the stale air that built up in the room.
日中はだいぶ暑くなったように思うんですが、まだ朝夕は涼しいですね。夕べは少し肌寒いくらいでした。
そんな朝夕もまたひなみ沢のいいところな。
Coach replied with a smile that as he returned to sit on the cushion beside the old lady. And then the two of them for a little while soaked in the voices of the higurashi.
わしゃ100まで一気にせ。 もうしばらくは死ねんよ。ダムの剣きっちり蹴りつけるまでは勘の蓋かって収まらんわ。
国が一度決めたことを撤回するのはなかなか難しいでしょうね。
国のやることはないつの世もイシュース回すみたいなもんね。そんでもだいぶ重いやっちゃ。
石臼ですか？
知らんねか、イシュース。
I'm gonna try this. Aria quickly affirmed that, of course, he knew what the old lady was talking about. For he knew full well that Oryu didn't like having her stories interrupted.
国のイシュースはなんでもゴリゴリ引いちまう。大したもんよ。でも簡単には回らない。重いイシュースなんねんな。たくさんの人間がせーのってやってようやくじりじりと動き出す。そんなイシュースなんよ。
Aria pursed his lips, listening quietly to what she was saying. Eventually, Mion returned with some tea and laid it out on a tray. Seeing that Oryu was talking in such a good mood, she quietly knelt down and laid out the sets of barley tea and black tea, careful not to interrupt.
だから一度回り始めたら簡単には止められんね。回し始める一番初めが一番重い。それが嫌だからみんな手を休めんとゴリゴリ回し続けるんね。
摩擦係数の話でしょ。確かにバッチャの話、理屈はあるね。
ちゅうことは何かの間違いで突然イシュースが止まっちまったら、また回すにはどえらい力がかかる。ちゅうこったな。
確かに一度中断した計画をもう一度動かすのに必要なエネルギーはかなりのものでしょうね。
簡単には止められんイシュースだけど一度止めれば二度とは回らん。そういうイシュースよ。
石臼を止めるいい手があればいいんですがね。
When Aria responded with that, Mion and the old lady suddenly sunk into silence. Aria, instinctively thinking that he had said something rude, searched in a small panic for words to correct himself. But that silence wasn't a result of rude words. For what crept across Mion and the old lady's faces were contemptuous smiles. Fuck off. The atmosphere surrounding Aria suddenly froze, leaving him flabbergasted. I don't blame you, man. Thinking that those scornful smiles creeping across both their faces was a result of a mistake of his, he could only grow afraid. It hadn't been that long at all since he was enveloped in silence. However, unable to stand it, Aria could only let out a weak laugh. Aria's laugh eventually spread to Mion and the old lady. Not knowing exactly what they were laughing at, their laughter left a lingering chill. The only ones not laughing were the Higurashi, who continued their simple and unchanging chorus. Well, I hate every second of this. Why did I save twice there? Whatever. The phone suddenly rang. I did skip. Fuck, I woke up in a hurry. The clock read 9 p.m.
しまった。定時連絡の時間を寝過ごした。
I picked up the receiver.
赤坂様、 外線からお電話が入っておりますが、おつなぎしてもよろしいでしょうか。ご同僚の加納様と申されております。
I knew it. I didn't call in, so they had to phone
すみ
me.
ません。つないでください。
かしこまりました。おつなぎしますので、一度受話器を置いてお待ちください。
After I put down the receiver, for a few seconds the phone began to ring again.
はい、もしもし。赤坂です。
赤坂君、加納です。お疲れ様。定時連絡がなかったので、こちらからかけました。そちらの状況はどう？
Leaving the lecture for later, my senior coworker got straight to the
今
point.
日はひなみ沢村へ実島に行きました。観光客を装うことで村長以下の何人かの主同盟の要人との接触に成功。何も聞き出すには至りませんでしたが、好印象を得て明日以降へのつなぎを作ることができました。
そう、なかなか手際がいいね。赤坂君のどこか初々しい感じがむしろ武器になったのかもしれないね。まずは上守備ってところかな。
比較するほど経験がないので上守備かは分かりませんが、とりあえず今日のところは順調だと思います。
県警での情報や地元警察の公安での情報と照らしてどう？鬼ヶ淵死守同盟は白っぽい？
I still didn't know. I should have been able to say that immediately. I only had to say that, but for some reason I hesitated.
まだ調査中ですのでなんとも。
そう、なるべく早めにね。分かってると思うけど、今夜が終われば誘拐から丸4日が経過する。いつが時間切れという明白な区切りはないけど、時間の経過は確実に我々の状況を不利にしていく。それは分かってるよね。
ええ、分かっています。迅速に。だけれど細心の注意で調査を続けます。
うん、くれぐれも気をつけてね。相手は暴力主義団体なんだから、油断すれば危険もあり得るからね。危険が迫ったらすぐに連絡を。その場合は地元公安に応援体制を入れられるようにするからね。
ありがとうございます。頑張ります。
他に赤坂君の方から連絡はある？
I reported several bits of supplementary information, and at the very end I decided to
そ
ask,
ちらの調査の進展はどうですか？
うん。こっちもみんな頑張ってるけど、なかなかはかどらないよ。何しろ調べる団体が星の数だからね。だから君の方の団体も白だと分かったらすぐに帰郷して他の職員の応援に入ってもらいたいんだよ。室長は鬼ヶ淵も洗っとけって言ってるけど、俺は鬼ヶ淵なんかの反ダム住民団体なんかは今回の件全く無縁だと思ってるからね。職員一人を一団体調べさせるためだけに出張させるのはすごく痛いよ。
Pog. At this point, he was really just complaining. I mean, that's fair. I'm gonna complain at OBS. Fucking stop, you shitty program. What did I just say? Stay in the green, bitch. Every time I talk to it. Are you quite done? You shitty fucking program. There's nobody in the house. I should not have these issues with you, you fucking cunt. Fuckhead. I'm a fucking program. Ashley has internet that nobody is using. OBS, would you like me to use every source available just to fuck you up for a few seconds? Anyways, he was telling me to stop taking time enjoying my trip to finish up and get back quick.
なるべく早めにケリをつけるようにします。
うん、よろしくね。じゃあ他に何もなければ切るよ。
はい、特にありません。
As we were ending a call, he scolded me thoroughly for being late with my regular report. After that, I hung up the phone and sprawled out on the bed. Come to think of it, I haven't heard anything from Oishi. He was supposed to contact me about a time and place to meet with the informant tonight. I thought about getting angry with Oishi in retaliation for being scolded for forgetting my daily report. Come to think of it though, Oishi didn't really say anything other than that he would be going to call tonight. Waiting for a phone call when you didn't know what time it was going to come was in itself rather difficult. Fuck you! Just when I thought that the phone rang, I picked up the receiver in a hurry.
もしもし。
これはびっくりしました。赤坂さん、あなた受話器取るの早いですね。
Shut the fuck up.
警官辞めても大企業の営業で十分飯が食えますよ。
Shut the
まだ警官辞めた後のことなんか考えたこともありません。
そこまで過剰に反応されると。
Fuck off, Oishi. I don't trust you at all. Not after what you did in the last 2 chapters. Seriously, why would I care?
しかしいけないな。因果な商売ですし、今から考えても遅くないですよ。
You fucking baffle me.
遠慮いたしますので、本題に入ってください、大石さん。
そうですか。それは残念です。じゃあ老後の話は次の機会にでも。では本題に。
Many of the executives in the Onofiguchi Guardians had a lot of sway in the neighboring regions. Even in Okonomiya, there was a lot of people in relations with the village. That's why meeting in Shishibo Market District far from Okonomiya was a matter of course.
赤坂さん、こっちこっち。ちょっと迷いましたか。北口からの方が遠回りだけど道は分かりやすかったかもしれませんね。
いえ、遅れて申し訳ありませんでした。
夕飯はもう食べちゃいました。
ええ、済ませてあります。
じゃあお酒の飲めるお店に行きましょうか。洋酒派、日本酒派、女の子のいる店といない店はどっちがいいですかね。
Would you prefer a place with or without women? Oh my fucking god, you. What is wrong with this version of Oishi? I don't know whether to trust him or not.
お構いなく。勤務中は飲みませんので。
Hearing that, the man that Oishi had brought along bent backwards as he go fuck back.
ねえ、初々しい人でしょ。その分ちょっぴりサービスしてあげてくださいよ。あのお金は全部彼のお財布から出てるんですからね。
The man that Oishi had brought seemed almost like a ticket scalper or bookie. Even his appearance was devious. The informant grinned deviously.
おい坊主、お前旦那にいくら渡した？だいぶ途中でつまみ食いされてんぞ。
大石氏への仲介手数料も含めていますから、それも含んだ上です。
It seemed that the informant had expected a more extravagant reaction on my part. When I responded so matter-of-factly, he realized that I was an entirely different type of person than he was. But rather than putting a distance between us, it seemed that I had piqued his interest.
だから言ったでしょ。真面目な人なんです。でもね、赤坂さん。私たちのような職種の人間は豊富な社会経験がとても武器になるんですよ。
女の子がいてお酒が飲めるお店での経験がどう武器になるか疑問です。
The informant, unable to contain himself, clutched at his stomach as he was laughing. Yeah.
いや、もう赤坂さんはいちいち察しがいいな。
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say I'm judging anybody. It's more or less, how the fuck will that help me with work? I'm not that fucking lewd. Even I have my priorities.
よっ、さすが高学歴。
Well, Wait, what are you trying to say? You don't got a fucking education?
大石さん、あなたどこかで飲んできましたね。
Yeah, I was fixing to say, it's a little, it's starting to become slowly obvious, especially now that you mention it. Well, shit happens.
酔っ払ってます。
オフタイムに飲んで何が悪いんですか？あなたは勤務中でも私はオフ。オフ。
This is a fucking nightmare. I never want to think about this. Oishi, who was the sort that fooled around to begin with, was in a good mood that I couldn't figure out a way to deal with him. Completely different than me, who had come worried about every little bit of information I could. Oishi-san, after taking so much money, you were supposed to get me information worth at least as much. I thought this, but I then realized that I was getting my information from the informant, so it didn't matter how drunk Oishi was. It was nothing I could complain about, but I still felt slightly riled up. Oishi and the informant, who was no doubt a fake name, but he introduced himself as Sato? Sato? We'll just do Sato for now. Led the way deeper and deeper into the back streets of the market district. Even though the market was bustling a couple of turns in the main street, and you were in a desolate alleyway. Oishi started climbing a set of stairs on the side of the CD building. There wasn't any sort of signage, so I couldn't tell if the place was open or if it was even a store at all.
安心してください。怪しい店じゃありませんよ。
Says who? Says who, bitch? Those words coming from Oishi's mouth had absolutely no credibility. Beyond the door was thankfully a typical mahjong parlor. I was relieved that it wasn't some sort of suspicious place I had to be on my guard on about.
はい、いらっしゃい。大石さん、お久しぶり。こっち入ります？すぐ開きますよ。
いいえ。今日はセットですからいいです。お、待たせましたね。
Mahjong is a game played with 4 people. It seemed that a middle-aged man who was going to be our 4th had already arrived and was waiting for us.
遅えぞクラウド。俺はもう消えろと思ってたんだから。
Oishi made an excuse as for why we had taken so long. Eventually, realizing that I was a new face, the other men grew interested.
彼は赤坂さん。東京からはるばる出張されてきた将来有望な新人さんです。坊主。
Boy.
お前麻雀はできんのか？
まあ、学生時代にそこそこに。
Sato and the old man cackled in unison. Their plot to sucker me out of my money was painfully obvious.
緊張続きの出張で疲れておいでだろうと思いましてね。一つ今夜は心の選択でもして差し上げましょうかと思いまして。
今さら野暮なことを聞きますが、私たち警察官ですよね。
まあそれはいい子なしで。なに10歳にはかけるわけじゃありませんよ。この後いいお店に遊びに行くときに誰が全員分を払うのか決めるだけですって。
Fuck. And I thought I was a fucking lewd pervert. What the fuck? Even I have my limits. Besides, top priority in my life? What is the top priority in my life again? I'm gonna have an existential crisis of some sort. Like, I'm pretty sure my main purpose was to protect those I care for. But on the other hand, I also like just bringing down all my enemies because my enemies could be potential threats to those I care about. On the other hand, there's a lot of loot stuff.
遊びに行く？どんな店に遊びに行くんですか？
Man. Without reservation, the three of them started suggesting places like cabarets, high-class clubs, and even that. At the very least, they were the type of places that you couldn't go with money. That was just for funsies.
私のお金は先日、大石さんに根こそぎ預けて支払いは不可能ですし、仕事の都合があるので長居はできないのですが。
じゃあ坊主が勝てばいいじゃねえかよ。おめえが勝ったらこの雀荘の支払いはなしで、クラウドに仕事の話でも何でもすればいい。
No matter what happened, it seemed like they were intent on playing Mahjong for free. I would have to fasten my resolve a bit. If I was going to be underestimated like this forever, it was going to get in the way of my
わ
work.
かりました。では、少しだけお付き合いします。私が勝ったら、アフターの遊びは一切なしで、すぐに仕事の話に入ってもらいますからね。
いいですとも。
I'm gonna assume, due to protagonist plot armor, we're gonna win regardless of our knowledge of Mahjong. Trust me, it happened to me in Yakuza Kiwami too, so why the fuck would it not happen here?
俺が勝ったらフラワーのブルーマーメイドに速攻だからね。
おやっさんも好きだな。私はもちろん馴染みの店をはしごしまくりですよ。あっけみちゃん。佐藤さんはどうします？
私は静かに飲めるお店でいいですよ。
静かにバニーさんとでしょ？
Huh? What? 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 Huh?
この間飲みに行った時、あんたバニーさんの尻尾を引っこ抜いちゃったでしょ。あれ結局弁償だったの？
マスターに縫製代とか言われて一本ドンペリ開けられたな。
Hey Sato, do you want to win? Take me to places, fam! Take me to places! I want to learn more about the bunny girls. I mean, there's no ulterior reasons. Just, what am I doing? What am I doing? Getting so distracted? What a lively table this was. I could tell the other customers were glaring at us while we loudly continued our rude conversation. Speaking of which, the fact that they assumed that I was the same was a bit disheartening. Oishi had taken all the money I brought, so everything I had left was out of my own pocket. In addition, there wasn't that much left either. If I kept hanging around him like this through his goading, my wallet would disappear into the night. I had to somehow win and return the conversation to my job. But these people, no matter how you looked at it, they were pretty good. Sorry, Yuki. I was hoping this music would chime in. I was really hoping this music would chime in.
そんじゃこれでリーチっと。
Well, the old man and Sato probably wouldn't fall for such a silly the silly Richie. I wonder if Akasaka-kun will spit out what I need.
クラウドのリーチなんざどうせこの辺だろ。この辺なら通るだろ。そりゃ。
Oh, the old man's pretty good. He's quietly trying to use one of my safe tiles to complete his hand, isn't he? It seems that Akasaka-kun... God, that's like a tongue twister in some cases. has at least learned the ropes when it comes to guarding against someone's Richi. But that will be his downfall.
どうした坊主、サクッと切らねえかい。よくわからなかったらクラウドと同じもんを切ってりゃ安全だぞ。
Oh, Akasaka-kun's really fretting over this one. It was glaringly obvious that he had a safe tile to discard, but he didn't want to throw it away because it would move him farther from completing his hand. They're so nice when they're young and innocent. Come on, hurry up and throw out the kicker. If he gave me a winning tile, I can't even read. Chapter 4, the fabled Mahjong chapter. What the fuck? If he gives the old man his winning tile, we'd be heading straight to the place with the maids and bloomers. No. Can we go see the bunny girls instead? I'm more interested in that. All right, like if we're gonna go anywhere, he's gonna see bunny girls. Okay, that is. Okay, you won't stop me.
これは通りますか?
He looked up as he hesitantly threw out a tile, and it was, oh, too bad.
おいおい、危ねえパイだぞ。クラウド、通るのか。
いい、通りますよ。
It seems this time you were lucky. But as long as the round kept going, I could still win off with the draw. But after that, Akasaka-kun managed to luckily avoid throwing any bad tiles, and somehow the round managed to end without anybody completed a hand. Sato-san had nearly accepted that the two players were in Richi had decided to play it safe. What a cool-headed way of playing. Now let's see what kind of hand did Akasaka-kun have. When the round ends with nobody winning Mahjong, everybody in Tenpai has to show their hand. But if you're not in Tenpai, you have no obligation to reveal it. Your average beginner would normally just show their hand even if they weren't in Tenpai, and start a commotion about how if this tile or that tile came, they would be in Tenpai. What the? Okay, look, I can't play Mahjong. I don't know anything about Mahjong. The only time I played Mahjong was in Yakuza Kiwami 2, and I played down a cheat item tile that literally made me instantly win the game. I don't even know what I did. It just happened. Seriously, I have a clip showing proof of it happening. It was so fucking funny. But he didn't. Being stingy. Sato-san reached over to flip the hand that Akasaka-kun casually placed face down. He was nowhere near Tenpai. Was Akasaka-kun totally bad at this after all? Right then, as the old man compared the tiles from Asaka-kun's hand to the discard pool, and puzzled expression crossed his face.
おめえ、この辺りで張っとるだろ。どうして切った？
マンズの高いあたりが急に高騰しましたので抑えました。大石さんのリーチに対して安全性が高まったのみです。筋でさばけば無難なのにわざわざ抑えた方がいる。
おう、クラウドのテンパイなど鼻から論外っていうわけか。
Hey, yo!
相当高度な引っ掛けでなければ私の宝珠を期待したぬるめの手かと。それよりもダマで張ったあなたの方がとりあえずは問題でした。
いつテンパイしたのに気づいた？
この辺りですか。ノンタイムで4連続で切ってますよね。初めは食い替えかと思いましたが私をチラチラ見ていたので期待しているんだと気づきました。
Akasaka-kun, you...
赤坂さん、 あんた麻雀始めてどのくらい？
高校から大学くらいまでの間しかやっていませんよ。さあ続けましょう。佐藤さんはテンパイしなかったから流れて、次は私ですね。おや。
It seemed like Akasaka-kun was really aware of how the game flows. We thought we were just going to eat him alive, but it looks like that wasn't going to be easy.
大石さん、ソーズが濃すいですね。回しますか？
この坊主、クラウド、降りるな。
あと3つ。いい牌が来ればな。佐藤さんはうまくいきそうです。
くそ、傷んで引きずり下ろすか。チーだ。
Damn, this fucking artwork though.
チーですか。じゃあすみません。それポンです。
Whoa now. Calling in a 3 of a kind after he declared us straight? Trying to override and interfere?
坊主、おめえ離れしとるな。
まさか私が生まれる前から打ってるような方々とは比べようもないですよ。あ、それです。ロトイトイ赤はください。
Eh.
親ですからね。ちょっぴり高いですよ。
くわっ。
赤坂さんやるな。これは我々も本気を出さないと。ねえ。
本気のついでに展望も出してもらいましょうかね。私は眠いんで手っ取り早く終わらせます。
Akasaka-kun? This is somehow unreal. Before I could realize it, there was an ominous cold air emanating from beneath Akasaka-kun's feet.
ぬるいですね。マンズのリャンウーパーが笑ってませんか？
ちくしょう！坊主てめえ！
クラウド、お前差し込め。坊主の親、とっとと下ろすぞ。
悔しいですが、どうやらそうした方が賢明なようですね。
出た！
What, buddy? What did you do this time?
ローだ！太陽ドライチ！
すみませんね。ロー、インフ。
頭っぱねだ？小僧のくせに。
小僧が相手だとバカバカしくて手を緩むってわけですか。じゃああんたその小僧以下ってわけですか。
Hey, yo!
面白いな。あんたら連中は決まって小僧だ坊主だって言うよ。
あ、赤坂くんですよね。なんだかムードが変わりまくりなんですかね。
私をかもって今晩はいいお酒を飲むおつもりだったんでしょうが、どうやら皆さんの当ては外れそうです。単品3色赤1ドラ1。
おお、張ってやがったか。
だからあんたぬるいよ。いくらダマだからってこんなにぬるい3年なんだから読んでくれなくっちゃ。
Akasaka-kun chuckled as he rested his chin on his hands. That pose was fitting, so fitting that it was almost scary.
おい、クラウド、話がちげえぞ。初々しいカモがネギ背負ってきたって言ったのは誰だ？
いや誰でしょう、ね、
おいさ、まずいよ。このままじゃ負けるよ、マジで。
Akasaka-kun, for you to make me get serious. Looks like you really want to be milk dry. Ew, don't say that.
ポン、気前がいいですね。もう一回ポンです。
Akasaka-kun is almost singing at this point. The tiles he had open were all pintails. Or tiles. Blech. You can't be serious. Are you really going for a flush?
坊主、正気か？4つも晒したらおめえパイが1つだけじゃねえかよ。
そうですね。知ってます？短期待ちって一番読まれにくいらしいですよ。
バカかってめえ。そこまで染めて晒しといて今更出ると思うんじゃね
読めてますよ赤坂さん。それ均一でも本一でもないんでしょう。4つポンした時点でトイトイは成立してますからね。あんた今絶好の単独トップ。こいつは均一と見せかけてトイトイで食おうという挑発手でしょう。
そう思うならピンズ切って大石さんの肺の左5つ、さっきから切り損ねてるピンズですよね。それを端から順に切ってみたらいいんじゃないですか？
You must be joking. Is he a Mahjong god? If not, he had to be the main character of a manga or something. Well, you're not entirely far off in this instance. At that moment, the old man sent me under a sign under the table. The message was simple and clear.
こんな若い子に様は好きじゃないんですがね。
あう、ここまで舐められて今さら弾けるか。
もう知りませんよ。ではどうぞ。
行くぞ坊主。リーチだ。オープンで行くぞ。ピンズの一数値待ちだ。
Most likely, the tile that Akasaka-kun was waiting for was one of those tiles. With this, Akasaka-kun was no longer capable of winning this hand. When I drew from the wall, I switched out the tile that Akasaka-kun would draw. The tile that I would put in was a 1-pin. One of the tiles that the old man was waiting on. Akasaka-kun declared that for a little while, so there was no threat of it being in the one he needed.
おい、坊主の番だぜ。
I knew he was troubled that the tile he drew was a 1-pin. Of course, he couldn't discard it.
坊主、分かってると思うが、オープンリーチに振り込んだら、
言われるまでもありませんよ。
The tile that came from was an honor tile? Whew, ain't that something? There's only one north wind tile left, isn't there? You were counting on a really rough wait, weren't you? But with this, Akasaka-kun's fate was decided.
カズ、命拾いしたな。だが、手配は1名だ。逃げ切れなくなることもあるんじゃねえのか？
やっぱりそういうことか。
Akasaka-kun glared at the old man with a discerning eye. This guy had pretty good instincts. Did he figure out that we were cheating?
やめましょうよ、やっさん。赤坂君の方が2、3枚は上手です。
バル、ここまで来てやめられるかよ。次行け、掴ませちまえ。
Oh my god. The next tile Akasaka-kun would draw is the 7-pin. With that, it would be settled. No matter which one he discarded, he played right into the old man's hand. An unavoidable full payout. When I drew my tile, I sneakily swapped Akasaka-kun's... What? Akasaka-kun suddenly sneezed, collapsing the wall tiles in front of him.
おいおい、な？
すみません。ついくしゃみをした拍子に山を崩しちゃって、バップ払いですね。親だから4000オールですか？それともバップは積み棒に？
Unable to hold back, yeah. Akasaka-kun, knowing that he was going to be cornered at the a second time and unable to escape, He took a drastic measure of knocking his own wall.
やるなあ坊主。役満払いをそういう手で防ぐとはな。が
大石さんもそんな見え見えの積み込みは勘弁してください。これが馬場なら今ので卓をひっくり返してたところですよ。
いえいえいえいえいえいえ。すみませんすみません。あなたを侮っていましたよ。あなたどうしてお強いじゃないですか。
正直に話さんかい。若い頃はだいぶ慣らしたんだろ。
早稲田高田の馬場あたりでだいぶ遊ばせてもらいました。ちょっと勝ちまくりすぎて馴染みの店に出禁を食らいまして、今の家内にだいぶ怒られて足を洗ったんです。
勝ちまくりすぎて。あんた当時はどのくらいの勝率でやってたの？
メンツにもよりましたが、歌舞伎町あたりで打つときはほぼ負けなしでした。特に相手があれ系の人のときは命かかってましたからね。
20 times? What kind of stakes were those? Did you have Yakuza at your table? Or pro baseball players?
なんだクラウド。このタク、お前どっからこんなプロ雀士みたいなの引っ張ってきたんだ。もうやめだやめ。ああもう坊主、おめえの勝ちだ。降参。
ありがとうございます。光栄です。
いやいや、しかし赤坂さん、あんた打つと性格変わるね。なんで就職なんかしたの？あんたならフリーで十分に飯食っていけるじゃない。
プロ雀士には腕と突きの両方が必要なんですよ。私には後者がありませんでしたから。
好きなんてその時の運不運だろ。あんたほどの腕があれば十分にいけると思うがな。
波の突きじゃダメなんですよ。関したら3回に1回くらいはそのままカンドラが4つ乗ってここぞという時に狙ってリンシャンが引ける。そのくらいじゃないと。
赤坂君、そんなのが頻繁にできたらそれはもう超能力者ですよ。
いえ、イカ様でも超能力でもなく、そのくらいの打ち手は結構いるんですよ。新宿で知り合った泣くたびにドラが乗りまくる雀士なんか鬼のように強かったですし、横浜で打ったプロなんかは当たり前のように一発で引き当ててましたからね。私にはああいう突きがないんです。
What type of folks were those? They weren't named Ryu or Satoshi by any chance.
というわけで総合トップは私でよろしいですね。
へいへいへい、乾杯でございますよ。
負けた久しぶりに大負けだ。
しかし打ってる時の坊主気合入ってたな。結構怖かったぜ。
よく言われます。自分ではそんなに目つき変えてるつもりはないんですがね。そんなに怖い目になってましたか？
Yep. Three of us nodded empathetically in agreement. So that was Akasaka-kun in Mahjong, the Mahjong prodigy. Before he goes home from his assignment, maybe I can have him go play at the high-stakes table in my place. But it's not good to get greedy.
じゃあ仕方ないや。約束です。夜の学習会はこれでお開きにしましょう。申し訳ありませんね、おやっさん。今夜はこれでお開きです。
しゃあねえな。消えて寝るわ。体力つけんと体が持たん。
お仕事が大変なんですか？
ああ、おやっさんはひなみ沢ダムの第一工区の監督さんなんです。住民とは連日小競り合いをしてますからね。しんどい商売ですよ。
I'd imagine.
来年あたり第二工区も任されちまうかもしれねえな。黒田さん、血圧上がりまくりって聞いたしよ。身が持たねえや。
おやっさんなら大丈夫でしょう。あなた 見た目よりも面の皮厚めですしね。
俺だって仏じゃねえからな。腹渡にくり返る時あるぞ。特に園崎のあの小娘は我慢がならん。あいつの顔面いつか簡単には治らんくらいに歪ませたろって思ってる。
まあまあまあ。でも給料はいいんでしょ？かなり破格の給金だって聞きましたよ。
おっとりめえだ。あんなに世知辛い職場で給料が安かったら誰も残らんよ。あ、クラウド。警察はいつになったら村の人間全部追っ払ってくれるんだ。国から立ち退き命令とか出てるんだろ？
ねえ、どうなってるんでしょうね。
The old man, who identified himself as the foreman of the Hinamizawa Dam, spurred a few complaints until he felt better about it, and then left quietly.
じゃ、行きましょう。あとは佐藤さんに任せますかね。
大石さんは帰られるんですか？
私が一緒でもお邪魔しちゃうだけでしょ。それに佐藤さんの仕事を買ったのはあなたです。私は対価を払ってませんからね。
Oishi-san was kind of sketchy, but he was strangely yeah. I felt a bit of a gap between myself and Oishi's generation from that part of him that I didn't comprehend.
じゃあ坊主、いや、ジャンシ様にもう坊主なんて言えねえな。赤坂くんでよかったっけ？
はい。
じゃあ赤坂くん、行こうか。
では赤坂さん、また何か困ったことがあったらいつでも頼りに来てくださいね。
大石さんにお支払いできるような対価はもう持ってませんよ。
んじゃ、今度の勝負で少し手加減してもらえたらチャラにしますよ。
Oishi, seemingly still not having his fill of playing around, but without overstaying his welcome, disappeared into the night. How the fuck are we in the situations we're getting ourselves in? Oh boy. We're getting into some deep ass funky shit. Honestly, the humanity is so fucking surreal that I don't know if I understand it. Well, anyways, I skipped the dialogue, I just realized. The informant named Sato-san had me get into his car as we set off. He favored narrow roads and short
左折
turns.
法による尾行確認ですか？
うん、詳しいな。
Checking to see if you're being tailed by making left turns is rather a classic technique. If it was a single pursuer, you could confirm it that way. But if you were being tailed as a team, this archaic method wouldn't let you shake them. Of course, doing it anyway was better than not.
赤坂君が何者かは旦那から何も聞いてないんだが、やっぱり警察関係かい？尾行確認に詳しいなんて、あとは探偵者くらいしか思いつかねえね。
言わなければならないものでないなら拒否したい質問ですね。
やれやれ。麻雀やってからすっかり雰囲気が大人びちまったな。会った時のあのおどおどしたあんたはどこ行っちゃったんだよ。
I smiled really. Looking back now, I had to be a little grateful for being made to play mahjong. Thanks to that, I was able to relieve some tension. Eventually, Sato-san, confirming that there were no cars following us, slipped outside of the city. We were on a pitch-black country road, unable to see anything with besides the lights outside. The only things I was able to hear was the hum of the car's air conditioning and the chirping of insects and frogs.
旦那からひなみ沢村については多少のことは聞いてんだろ
御三家という旧家による支配や現在は園崎家が一党独裁をしているとか、そういう話ですか？
そこまで知ってるならくだらない前置きは省略していいな。
ではお願いします。犬飼大臣の孫の誘拐に鬼ヶ淵死守同盟が関与しているか否かを。
Sutherland checked the rearview mirror one more time to confirm that there wasn't anybody behind us before speaking.
昨夜
Somehow I knew this
園
music
崎
was going
本
to
家
cue
で親
too.
族会議が開かれたそうだ。親族会議ってのは旦那から聞いてるか？
いえ、
普通に親族会議って言ったらまあ親戚が集まってお茶でも飲むようなもんだよな。だが園崎本家の親族会議っていうのはそんなのんびりしたものってわけが違う。
A family council held by the Sonozaki main house. That would be the meeting between those who truly controlled the Hinamizawa village. They wouldn't be talking about some private family matters. It would be about the village as a whole. About organizing activities against the dam project. Among other things, everything would be decided here. Or there, sorry. In reality, they were deciding the fate of the village. The head of the meeting was Oryu Sonozaki, more or less called Empress Sonozaki. As the ultimate decision maker of the clan, she was to be feared and respected. Infirm with old age, she was often unable to stand on her own, but her words carried through the weight to sway the fate of the village. It seemed that lately she had grown weak, and on days where she wasn't feeling well, remained bedridden. Family councils that occurred while she wasn't feeling well took place with her on the floor. In the middle of the dissified Japanese-style room, still in a futon, only the upper half of her body was sitting upright, a stern look on her face that was Oryu Sonozaki. Sitting next to her was her heir, Mion Sonozaki. She was still young. No, young wasn't quite the right word. She was a girl who remained childish. Her role was merely to sit beside Oryu Sonozaki, sometimes responding to her requests. However, she was only deemed worthy to succeed Oryu. She had the same hawkish eyes, enough to give a pause to anybody who so much as looked at them. Much as expected of her in the future, this granddaughter of the Sonozaki's leader. And also, on either side of her, were several other important members of the three remaining families, the Kimiyoshi family and the Furude family. First on the list for the Kimiyoshi family was, of course, the mayor of Hinamizawa Village, Kichiro Kimiyoshi. And lined up beside him were several more of his direct relatives. Opposite of them sat the other families, or sat the other of the three families, the Furude family. The Furude family was comprised of the family of the Shinto priest, so the only ones sitting there were said priest, his wife, and their daughter, Rika. Rika was doted on by many of the older folks of the village, and it seemed that Oryu was no exception. While the stress of attending a family council was said to be enough to shorten your lifespan by 3 days, it seemed like Rika-chan was the only one exempt from that. No matter how charged the atmosphere was around her, she paid no mind, instead humming along as she doodled in the sketchbook. In fact, the night before, laying on her stomach while humming and doodling, she was nonchalantly tucked in her legs into Oryu's futon like it was a kokatsu. Or no, not kokatsu. I was gonna say like koikatsu. What's wrong with me? Kotatsu. Fuck. All of this was the three families. All around the room, lined row upon row, were relatives of the Sonozaki family. The ones who were offered cushions to sit on were the direct relatives. The others were left to sit in his position directly on the tatami tatami mat. Fuck my life. With Empress Zonozaki enshrined at their center, they were almost like a giant snake coiled around the room. It was decided that everybody would sit in order of their rank. The number of people from the Zonozaki family was overwhelming. The fact that the Zonozaki family held so many seats at the meeting where everything was pertaining to the village was decided made determining there was a balance of power to be held in the three families as clear as day. Oh, fucking holy shit. How the fuck did that show up? I didn't even press anything. I didn't read that. Fuck.
その会議で何が話されたんですか？
Jesus. Sato-san, after remaining silent for a while, quietly began to speak.
マスコミ関係に支払ってる謝礼金の額が大きいんじゃないかい？
Breaking the long moment of silence was the head of the Kimiyoshi family, Kichiru Kimiyoshi. The Hanafukuchi Guardians wasn't a business. They were nothing more than a private organization pushing for the cancellation of the Hinamizawa Dam project, with no reliable source of income. Fundraising had always been a problem. When they started operating, they had managed to collect a sizable amount of funds through donations, but as the conflict dragged on, the amount was steadily declining.
石を投げるだけが全ての時代じゃないさ。マスコミの力も侮れないのは重々承知しているし、今後もその力を借りたいのは同じさ。
The expressions of the people related to the Sonozaki family were sullen. As the one who suggested that they should borrow that power was the family head Oriru Sonozaki. The battle wasn't just about force of arms. In this civilized age, there were civilized methods of fighting. Oryu suggested that, creating a strategy incorporating the mass media. Oryu's foresight was spot on, and the effects of the plan, while at first unclear, slowly began to manifest. If the physical confrontation of the construction site meant the delay progress on the dam even by one day, then the propaganda war using the media was aimed at attacking the dam project itself. At first, there were those who had doubts about the strategy, but there was nobody now who called those results into question. But in order to maintain those media highs, the colossal amount of money was required. As long as the amount of funds they had was abundant, things would turn out fine. Well, hope for goddamn Lee. It couldn't be argued that it was a massive expense. But the results spoke for themselves. But with the conflict continuing to drag on, the circumstances had changed. The head of the Sonozaki family, no, the one who sat at the pinnacle of the Hinamizawa three families, Oryu, had suggested the idea herself, and it was already untouchable, and continued to be allowed to drain from the budget. Nobody acknowledged that it should be so allowed, but nobody could say anything. That was the price of dealing with the mass media.
どうも、お嬢さん。
The only person who could object to the plan proposed by the head of the Sonozaki household herself was probably Mayor Kimiyoshi. Oryu, with the hard-to-define expression on her face, as if severed herself into the fetters of moral, simply listened quietly into Kimiyoshi's words. But really, it was hard to tell if she was quietly listening or didn't even have the intention of listening at all.
去年機関士の値上げの理解を得るのにも随分苦労したじゃない。一度だけってことで理解を得て、また今年もってわけにはいかないよ。ねえ、古手さん。
The mayor looked to the priest and his wife from the Furude family for affirmation. The priest gave a vague expression, avoiding a prompt response, but his wife gave an answer without a second
そう
thought.
ですね。機関士代は特に貧しい家には大きな負担になっています。みんな自分たちの村のためだからと耐えていますが、これ以上の値上げはやめた方がいいでしょうね。
The bulletin was, as its name implied, a bulletin published by the Onofiguchi Guardians. It outlined the Alliance's activities, ideas, and resolve, but you couldn't deny the contents were rather... yeah. That bulletin's main goal wasn't to inform people, but rather was something to sell to businesses and people living in the village or connected to it, and using those sales to collect funds. In other words, it had become something of a tax. Of course, it didn't have to be said that this was one of the main sources of income for the Onofiguchi Guardians. Originally, purchase was supposed to be voluntarily, but Hinamizawa had it silently become the opposite. In the neighboring towns as well, it seemed that many businesses were buying copies just to avoid butting heads with the Alliance. The priest whispered to his wife not to say anything unnecessary, but that was struck down decidedly with a cold glare. Cowering from that glare, the priest shut his mouth. Okay. The priest's wife had already had the power in their relationship. That was because she was the one who carried the Furude bloodline. The priest merely married into the family, after all. He was nothing more than somebody who adopted the name just to join the three families. She should have just been able to find a spot fairly high up. Oh, fucking hell, I can't yawn right now. Fuck my life. The things of things. But the lack of authority in his voice meant that he still had not gained any favor. Casting a backwards glance at her rather desperate parents, Rika continued to doodle whimsily without paying them any mind. Signaled by a look from Oryu, Mion brought her ear closer to her grandmother. There was something that she said in a quiet voice. After responding with a couple of questions and a nod from Oryu, Mion looked around the room and conveyed her grandmother's words.
機関士の値上げもやむを得ません。
Okay. Fuck! I am still yawning. Fuck my life. Kimiyoshi made a face that he had just a bit into something unpleasant, but that expression quickly disappeared like it had never happened at all.
だけどミオンちゃん、君だって分かってると思うけど、機関士の負担は決して軽いものじゃない。ひなみ沢の全ての人間にかかる重みなんだ。あんまり負担をかけすぎれば内部から崩れることだって。
内部から崩れるのは誰ですか？
どれって別にそういう意味じゃ。
最初に崩れるのは誰かと聞いています。
Being cross-examined by a girl who still had fragments of childishness remaining within her, those words struck into Kimiyoshi's throat as he sunk into silence. Mion repeated her question once more, looking around the coward room. Everybody refrained from making eye contact and avoiding a piercing by her gaze. The words she had spoken were unarguably said in proxy for Oryu. That's why when Mion spoke to them, they carried the same weight. But the look in her eyes were different. Like Oryu's, they had a hawkish gaze, strong enough that anybody looking upon them would freeze in their tracks and yield. Yeah, trust me, Keiichi would know. But that gaze was without question one that belonged to Mion herself, as Mion would eventually inherit everything from Oryu the day when she would come to stand as a young, capable leader in her own right would come. Nobody wanted to believe otherwise, even for a minute. That's why nobody even thought of Mion as just some sort of little kid.
君吉さん、機関士の値上げごときでは誰の決意も崩れませんよ。
Kimiyoshi, while grumbling a little bit, made a gesture as if he had no objection.
マスコミ関係への出費は継続とします。その出費がさらに圧迫となるようなら、 機関士の値上げもやむを得ない。
Mion had rendered her judgment. Everybody bowed their heads, silently listening to her words.
園崎家当主代行園崎美音です。我が名において以上決定し、決定の効力は即日発行されるものとします。意にはこれを認めず、抵抗ある場合は実力をもって排除します。
The formal decree was read aloud, indicating her judgment. There would be no retrial, but there was certain authority behind those words that even a courthouse couldn't compare to. If she was the judge, she would have banged her gavel, signaling that the matter was settled. Mion pulled out a large bell from inside of her clothes and rang it. Everybody present could only prostrate themselves before the harsh sound of the bell.
なんとも大時代的な親族会議ですね。
あんたみたいな若いもんにはちょっと信じられないだろうけどね。こういう古い土地にはこんなのが未だ根強く残ってるもんさ。
It was exactly as Oishi said. The old system of the three families had vanished, and now the Sonozaki family was running things by themselves. On top of that, their rule was borderline, whatever that word
会
is.
議はそれで終わりですか？
いや、まだ続く。先を続けるよ。
Eventually, after the ringing of the bell ceased, there was a deafening silence. Within all of that, a lone man shuffled closer to Mion and whispered something in her ear. Mion asked several questions quietly in response. When she was satisfied, she motioned for a man to leave. The man who had talked to Mion was a member of a gang that her father was a leader of. The organization had the entire area of Shishibone City under its control, so it was quite well known even there. Of course, this was talking about a criminal underworld, so it's not like anyone would just know. But just showing a patch with the gang symbol on it was enough to resolve any disputes in the neighborhood. Mion's biological father, Taoryu, was her daughter's husband. The power of that man's gang would drive force control the dark underbelly of the Onofuguchi Guardians. And so that man, from his position next in line in control of the three families, continued to, everybody around him with his unconventional presence. Mion exchanged a look with her father. Was it okay for her to tell what she heard directly to Oryu? It looked like she was asking him that question. Her father gently but firmly nodded in response. Mion also nodded and slid up to Oryu and informed her of something. Eventually, Mion finished conveying her message, separated herself from Oryu to fix her posture, waiting for Oryu to signal her response. Can you guys fucking read so I can stop? I don't know when I'm gonna yawn again, for fuck's sake. It wasn't often that Oryu showed any emotion. That's why when she started to laugh quietly, a vague sense of uneasiness crept over everybody in the room.
ほら、なんなこともあったものよの。
Oryu was laughing so happily that Kimiyoshi had to hesitantly ask.
どうしたんだい、お嬢さん。
我らにとって土地が母なら、この度のダムの騒ぎは、母の命を脅かされる騒ぎっちゅうことだろうな。
Kimiyoshi, unable to comprehend the meaning behind her words, looked a little confused. Oryu, with a wide grin on her face, turned to everybody and addressed them in a voice of some sort.
ダムの親玉の大臣がの、孫さらわれちまって、右往左往しとるっちゅう話だ。これでおあいこだの。
バカな。
Information on the kidnapping of the Mr. Unakai's grandson shouldn't have leaked from anywhere. How did they know? Even we didn't know that much about the kidnapping incident. Exactly how did an antiquated household so far away from Tokyo come to know about it? It was a tranquil place, but I couldn't help but have an uneasy feeling about Hinamizawa village. At some point, I had mentally filed this place away as unrelated to the incident at hand. That mental paperwork had already blown away in the wind.
どうして鬼ヶ淵主導名が知っているんだ
Sasa-san, unable to come up with an answer, fell into
すみま
silence.
せん続きをお願いします
なあ
There's more?
犬飼建設大臣のお孫さんが。お嬢さん、それは本当かい？
The mayor of the incident was nowhere to be seen on the newspapers or TV. But in Hinamizawa, there was nothing strange about Oryu knowing something that the rest of the world didn't.
我らの痛みはそれに値するとは思わんが孫を失う痛み少しは答えるといいんじゃがのなあ
The last question wasn't addressed to anybody in particular. It was as if she was looking for... yeah.
だが土地と人様の子供ではわけが違う。隠すのは構わんが怪我だけはさせたくないもんだ。ほにゃ何の罪もね大事にしたいな。
それはつまり鬼ヶ淵死守同盟が誘拐事件に関与していると、
必ずしもそうとは言えねえな。
どうして当主であるお涼がこれほどまではっきりと誘拐した孫の処遇について指示を出しているのに。
兄さん、これはね園崎家のいつものことなんだよ。
いつものこと？それはどういう意味です？
Let's say there was a particular problem, one that wasn't exactly favorable to the Sonozaki family. If Oryu shows concern over that particular problem, hearing that somebody who attended the family council would be helpful. As a result, Oryu's wish would be granted. However, neither Oryu or anyone else would know who exactly did it. With this kind of clever little ploy, the Sonozaki family was able to manipulate the events even though they had their hands laid out on the table.
では親族会議に出席していた誰かが犯人ということですか？
あるいはそもそも犯人なんかいない可能性だってあるな。俺自身その万座の一同の中に誘拐犯がいるって確信を持ってるわけじゃない。
I need to check something real quick. Hold on. Okay, sorry. Every other chapter after chapter 4 has at least 14 achievements or more. I'm sorry. I'm still baffled that there's not that many. I'm losing my fucking mind right now. So, like... what is the story of Hinamizawa trying to tell me exactly?
ただ自分の意見を述べただけさ。
That was an odd and unpleasantly secretive way of doing things. Were they involved or were they not? I couldn't see behind the veil. This much, however, I could say with certainty. This kidnapping was an ironclad secret. No matter how high of a position somebody was in, even they wouldn't know about it. If there was somebody who would know about it, they would be connected to public safety. In other words, one of us. The only options were people connected to the case itself, including the minister. There would be people affected by the incident, or the people who had committed it. In any case, there was no way an old household in a place removed from Tokyo by over 6 hours of highway travel would even know about it. Them knowing that all was already strange enough, my suspicions began to accumulate, like falling snow.
孫の誘拐についてお涼が述べたのはここまでだ。あんたの知りたかったことが含まれてりゃいいんだな。あとは兄ちゃんの仕事だな。何のお仕事やってるか知らんけど、園崎家を相手にするなら相当の覚悟でやっとけよ。大石の旦那は怖いもの知らずだけどな、あれでも 2,3 回は襲われてる。最近は来てないけど、一時はオフの時も防塵ベストを着込んでたんだよな。
ええ、忠告ありがとうございます。気をつけること。
標準語が流暢だよな。兄さんは東京とかの人？
え？それが何か？
Investigators were always close to danger. It was not best to divulge into my information on
兄さ
myself.
んのお仕事だけどさ、ひょっとして警視庁の公安部の人ってことある？
Okay, so ordinarily this would creep me out, but he's an informant. Sure, granted, an informant kind of out of our league, but who knows? Maybe Oishi said something. I don't know. That shouldn't really bother us. At least not too much. I couldn't remain silent here. It would be the same as admitting it.
まさか。
こっから旦那からもらった金の範囲には入らないんだが、兄さんとは今日宅を囲んだ仲間だからな。サービスってことで話してやるよ。お寮から誘拐の話が出た後、もう一つ話題が出たんだ。
Another topic that Oryu brought up. And right before he told me this, Sano-san asked if I was from the Metropolitan Police... fucking hell. Public Safety Division. Damn, that was a fucking tongue twister. In other words, what those two things meant caused a chill to run up my spine.
そんででな、大臣の孫さらったのを調べるために東京からはるばる公安の捜査官が派遣されてくるっちゅう話だ。
公安の捜査官？
大臣の孫の誘拐な、うかつにゃ大ごとにできゃんってことで、警視庁の公安部が独自で調べとるっちゅう話だ。はっ、大行なこったの。どうした？
Rika, who had been drawing the entire time, was completely uninterested in conversation up until now, looked at Oryu with an interested face as soon as the topic of public safety came up.
警視庁が来たのですか？
リカちゃまは警視庁も知ってなさるんかい。偉いの。
誰が来たのですか？
公安のどんなやつが来よったんか。誰ぞわかるやつはおらんかいな。
Mion's father raised his hand slightly.
新米の若造が一人と聞き及んでおります。
新米？ほかほかなのですか？
ん？ええ、はい。新米とか。
Mion's father smiled really as he answered Rika-chan's question.
ほかほかのふかふか？
ええ。
ほかほかのふかふか。
Rika smiled with interest. Why did Rika suddenly act interested only when it came to this topic? That was a question that apparently nobody had the answer to.
リカちゃまはその男のことを何か知っているのかな？
知んないのですよ。
After her father left that reply, Rika buried herself underneath Oryu's futon again. But when she buried herself there, Rika was no longer started drawing again. Instead, she was making an expression like she was deep in contemplation.
どうしますか？ お母さん。
Mion's father posed the question. He was the type to, whatever that word is, expression on his face indicating that, given the order, he could snuff the problem out any time.
はるばるひなみ沢まで来よった。しばらくはのんびりさせてやるのもよかろう。
泳がせろということでしょうか。
Mion's father asked in response. Oryu smiled thinly as she responded.
ほっといたれな。が、あんまりおいたが過ぎるようやった。そん時は遠慮せんとな。なめられるのはすっきゃせんね。
なんて話があったそうだ。まさかあんた、その警視庁の新米じゃないよな。
まさか。
The sensation of cold, bristling fear came to crawl its way onto my back. The family council took place last night, in other words, yesterday. Then today, when I was all dressed up in a tourist, as a tourist headed towards Hinamizawa, my cover was already blown? When I remember the first person I had met and I got on the bus stop, I couldn't breathe. The person at the family council expressed interest in the man for being dispatched from the Metropolitan Police, Rika Furude. Then, the person who was waiting for me the whole time in the bus shelter, Rika Furude? It was an unthinkable image. No, it was an illusion. When we met on the bus shelter, did Rika-chan already know my true identity? Did she know that I was Akasaka, fuck it out, dispatched from the Metropolitan Police Department and come to meet me? And then, including Mayor Kimiyoshi, every villager that I'd met already knew and just pretended not to, because Oryu had given instructions not to interfere. Thinking about it logically, it didn't seem possible. I met quite a number of people. If there's people that are good at acting, then there's people who are bad at hiding things. If there was that many people, then there should have been somebody among them who knew I was from public safety and couldn't hide their hostility. However, I didn't feel any presence like that. But even then, even still, why did Oryu tell him to leave me alone? Was it because they were careless about it? It would only raise more suspicion? Or was it because they believed a rookie like me wouldn't be able to find anything? Fuck you! Akasaka is a coward. I recall that strange voice from which could only make me believe that Rika-chan had been possessed. That unknown entity, no matter how you looked at it, knew my true identity from the get-go. And then... how did it warn me again? That's right. It warned me to hurry up and go back to Tokyo. Instead of the realistic worry that the Onagaguchi Guardians had discovered my identity, the absurd worry brought on by his unknown girl struck with me more. What exactly was that girl? What was that thing that I eventually regret? That mysterious girl, Rika Furude. Let's stop this. Everything I was thinking about right now was merely conjecture. Tomorrow, first thing in the morning, I'll report everything I heard now to HQ and await further orders. There was no mistaking that the possibility of the Onagaguchi Guardians was related to this case, was there. And the fact that my cover was blown meant that I was in a very bad position, yeah. But everyone at the HQ was already extremely busy, so they might not be able to spare the support.
もういいかい？よければ好きなところまで送るよ。
あ、すみません。では、お会いした元の駅までお願いします。
A rural road where even a street light was rare. I couldn't see anything. I wasn't aware of anything but the asphalt that was lit up with the headlights. Outside the light, was it simply darkness? Or was it something lurking there, waiting to strike? I had to think I drew the sort of straw there. I wanted to go back to Tokyo. For some reason, the voice of the girl warning me to go back to Tokyo still lingered in my head. God, this chapter is doing numbers on my brain. Fuck. Fuck! Alright, the investigation runs aground.
昨日銀座の料亭でお会いしてね。そういう話が出たんだよ。
別室の謁見でしょう。連中、公安に干渉しすぎですよ。あまり迎合すると悪い洗礼を残しますね。
犬飼大臣は公安の動きに不快感をあらわにしているらしい。多分月曜の町議で次官からその旨の話が出るんじゃないかと思う。参ったな。
次官へは局長級に話つけてもらうしかないですよ。給料を多くもらってる人の当然の仕事ってことで。
まあそうなると局長からは絶対に大臣脅迫の物証を求められるよ
な。あの人たまにどっちの味方か分かんなくなりますね。うちらの味方しなくてどうすんのっての。
まあ多分大臣を経由しての圧力だと思ってるけどね。俺が時間室で油汗かいて時間稼ぐ間に調査進めてもらうしかないよな。全身の汗絞られて絞りかすになっちゃうかもしれないけどな。でどうなの調査の進行は。
期待してた濃厚なラインがことごとく外れて正直途方に暮れてます。
最近の大臣発言をまとめるとひなみ沢ダムの計画の話が目立つっていう報告を聞いたけど、それはどうな
の？目立つっていうか本当に微細な程度の違和感ですね。たまたま県議連でのスピーチだったから時事ネタを話しただけかもしれないし。
確か地元団体が過激に抵抗してるってやつだっけ？鬼ヶ淵死守同盟。確か赤坂君に調べてもらってたよね。
僕は連中には今回の事件は起こせないと踏んでいます。ですが疑わしいところのほとんどが真っ白な以上、疑いの枠から外すわけにはいかないかもですね。赤坂君からはその可能性は否定できないとの軽い報告は受けています。
なら調べてみる価値はあるんじゃないの？しらみつぶしなんだから残る疑わしい団体がそこ一つならやるしかないでしょ。
まあ調べる団体はそこだけじゃないんですがね。鬼ヶ淵と同じ程度のレベルで疑わしい団体になるともう相当の数になりますよ。人手も時間も残業代も全然足りません。
赤坂君からさ、もうちょっと詳しく聞いてみてよ。俺はちょっと要注意に感じるけどな、その死守同盟。
彼、村人とうまく接触できたって連絡してきました。現地の警察とも連携できてるみたいですね。
赤坂君との連絡密にしてください。それで彼からの情報が引っかかるようであれば増援を送ることもありということで。
わかりました。すいません、片岡市長。局長からお電話です。こっちに回しますか？
ああ、いい、そっち行きます。もしもし。
Okay. So what's in the box? I'm curious. Do you believe that there are choices in life? There are many people who laminate on the following. If there only existed points in life where there were clear choices to make, we would be able to, you know, choose them carefully and make the decisions that would lead us to a better future. Every time I hear people lament it as such, I cast it off as rather trivial worry. Even if you were given a clear choice, it wouldn't be meaningful at all. There wouldn't be such a path to a better future. Is this hard to understand? Then let's pretend that right in front of you there are two strange boxes. In other words, you have two clear choices. Do you open the red box or the blue box? There are a lot of things would be uncertain, even if with that choice, wouldn't they? If you don't have the option of opening either, you choose, then your choice boils down to the natural impulse of opening a box that holds better result to you. Then after examining the shape and features of each, and pondering of great many things, you have to pick either red or blue. If this was you, which box would you open? Red or blue? If you were to go by their traditional meanings, then red would be dangerous, a threatening color. However, that doesn't automatically mean that it would be calm and relaxing inside the blue box either. In fact, it might even be that the colors are a trap to make you wary of the red box, and that you have to open the blue one. A trap. Could it be the context of the box isn't a reward, but rather some form of a penalty? See? Now you're at a loss. You're so conflicted over the choice between red and blue that you've started wishing that there was an option to open neither and just leave. But there isn't. You have to open either the red or the blue box. Oh, and I forgot to say this. If you choose one box, the other one would disappear. So you'll never know the context of the box that you don't open. I'll just put that rule at the end there for you. Now, why don't you choose the red box or the blue box? It's alright. You won't lose anything by picking either one. Come on now. Suck my dick! Fuck, I can't save or load. Ah, son of a bitch. Son of a bitch. This is the first time I'm making a choice and it's in the tips? That cut me out of my psycho talk. Damn it, I was talking like a psycho and I was enjoying myself. That fucking killed the mood, okay. I'm gonna open the blue box. Have you thought about it? In the end, you choose this color, didn't you? As soon as you choose, the other box disappeared. So, you can give up the context of that one, okay? That's the rule. Now open up the box you chose. Inside the box was a stick of chewing gum. Oh. I know you're a little disappointed. Well, it's only natural. No matter how you look at it, it looks like you drew a dud. The correct box might have had a bar of chocolate for all you know. No, in fact, something incredible like a pair of tickets to Hawaii might have been there. That's kind of funny considering my parents actually went out to Hawaii last week. But even if you wanted to verify that, the other box already disappeared. Oh, really? You think that'll stop me? There's no way you could check now. But if you think about it from an optimistic point of view, just maybe the other box was empty, and this box was a winner. And being satisfied, or perhaps not, with such a cheap price, you pop it into your mouth and start chewing it happily. So, what do you think in the end? If you were given a second chance, would you open the other box? But unfortunately, the chance to choose between the red box and the blue box was already gone, never to be seen again. The chance to choose your selection will never come. Don't your parents often say every choice you make in life only happens once, so choose carefully? No, I was never once told that in my entire fucking life, but I wish I had been told that in 2020. See? Choices aren't that great after all. Aren't you a little disillusioned? What the fuck? Well, hey, technically I do have the power to go back. Alright. Alright, now let's open the red box. Just out of curiosity, because I don't know what's in it. But I want to know. Have you thought about it? In the end, you choose this color, didn't you? As soon as you choose, the other box disappeared. So you can give up on the context of that one, okay? That's the rule. Now open up the box you chose. Inside the box was a piece of caramel. Caramel, huh? Right now you're thinking, that's it? That's right. The context of the red box and the blue box were a piece of caramel and a stick of chewing gum. What? What? What the fuck? Why'd you tell me? I thought the whole point was... What? You might have thought that you made the wrong choice. Wait. But I prefer neither. Hell, I've never actually tried chewing gum before, so I actually don't know what that's like. The clear choices you wanted were basically this. The selfish desire to open up both boxes and compare the context and pick one up that best suited you. But you see, reality is the same as this game. If you pick one, you didn't see the other one disappear, blah 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 blah. I got people talking about the Canon on Charlie 5 livestream almost. Well, keep doing it. I think it's funny. So there's no way that you could check the result. If at that time, if you had done this, or perhaps if you had done that, then it wouldn't be hard to imagine that you could be happier or perhaps less happy than you are right now. In the end, you only have the pleasure of approving or being disappointed by the choice that you did make. But that's fine. After all, didn't you enjoy the thrill of making the choice? If, like now, you knew the context of both boxes, then the choice between the red box or the blue box would have just been a waste of time. Because instead of a boring game about boxes, you could be looking at a quickly changing evening summer sky, listening to the distant sound of thunder, and pondering if it's gonna rain or not. That would be much more fun. So, what was the point in that? Like, what was the point in choosing either of the boxes if choosing the red one? Like, what was the point in the whole rule thing? Like, oh, you choose one box, the other disappears. But I chose the red one, and I was still told what was in the blue box. So what was the point in making that rule up if you're going to tell me what's in the blue box when I chose the red one, but if I chose the blue one, you don't tell me what's in the red one? Like, what? What kind of reverse fucking psychology is this shit? Either way.
Eh, はい。それでお通夜が明日の午後6時からになりまして、告別式があさってのお昼。会場は沖宮セレモニーホールになります。
か。池澤助役のお孫さんの葬式じゃ何にも挨拶なしってわけにもいかんね。みよ、代わりに出てえな。
うん、了解。喪服で行く？香典はいくらくらい？
学校の服でえんね。前のボタンちゃんと止めてくんねよ。香典は5万。10万包んだりな。世話になったかんな。
Mion quietly whistled in awe at the exorbitant amount of money her mother was offering.
池澤さんはな、沖宮の事務所長だった頃からしっかりした人だったね。役人は挨拶って言っても絶対に玄関までしか来ん。でもな、池澤さんはわしがお茶を勧めるといっつも上がってくれて、ちゃんと話を聞いてくれた。人の話を最後まで聞く本当に鏡みたいな人だったんね。
The two guests made a show of nodding, making it clear that they were paying attention as Oryu reminisced. The sight of them trying not to get on Oryu's bad side was humorous enough to elicit laughter from Mion occasionally.
池澤助役のお孫さんはいくつで亡くなったんね？
11歳だそうで。
Oryu closed her eyes and shook her head lightly, lamenting the loss of such a young life.
確か孫は一人だ言うてんな。かわいそうにな。親より先に死ぬほどの親不孝あるめな。
ばっちゃんも他人には優しいね。私やシオンが死んだら同じように悲しんでくれる？
アホん抜かすんでね。演技でもねすったなんとシャラーあったく。
Well, Keiichi made sure of one of those portions in Chapter 1. Having gotten the reaction she expected, Mion cackled. The two guests, unsure if they were supposed to laugh along, forced awkward smiles.
それでは本日は失礼いたします。では明日の夕方5時にお迎えに参りますんでよろしくお願いいたします。ではごめんくださいませ。
After bowing their heads repeatedly, the guests left by the front door. Mion saw them off, waving her little hand goodbye.
帰ったよ。お役人もばっちゃのご機嫌伺いに大変だね。不法なんか電話でいいと思うのにね。
Well, it was true that Oryu Sonozaki was a central person for both her relatives and the residents of Hinamizawa village as a whole. As a voting bloc, they numbered in several thousands. It wasn't hard to imagine the mayor would try to pander her. Unlike Mion, however, Oryu was looking up longingly in the sky from the veranda.
どうしたの？猛録した？
誰のお孫さんであろうと気の毒だのう思ったんよ。
Saying that, she let out a deep sigh. Mion was let down. Normally, her grandmother would have scolded her for her attitude.
ミオ、これ例の大臣の孫さらわれてからどのくらいになる？
4日かな。
Oryu let out another deep sigh.
敵の孫とはいえ気の毒だな。
そう。
十分気はせいたんろ。そろそろ終わりにしちゃれな。
The playful expression drained from Mion's face, leaving a stern one. And then, as if to assert Oryu's real, looked into her eyes. Oryu, expressing her attention with only those eyes, looked back into
お
Mion's.
茶が欲しんで頼んでな。さっきのチョコレートも食べといね。
Mion gave a small nod and turned around.
シミコさん、いますか？ばっちゃに紅茶入れてあげてください。
From far away, voices responded in the affirmative. Mion, after confirming what she had heard, picked up the phone and began dialing.
あ、もしもし？ミオンだけど。うん。うちのお父さん、います？
Oh boy. This ought to be interesting. And now we're on chapter 4, Pog! Oh my god. Ah, my fucking body is dying. Okay. I believe this is a good stopping point for now. Definitely read a lot more than what I did last time, 2 weeks ago. Jesus Christ. Eyes weighing heavy. Oh, I need to do some fucking college work and shit. I would rather perish, but work is work. I gotta do it. Alrighty. Who should I throw humans at? Oishi. Let's see. You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead. I know who to raid. We'll raid Nini, who is streaming. She's streaming Sonic Forces. That ought to be funny. I remember when I streamed fucking Sonic Forces. That was almost 2 years ago, actually. Holy shit. Funny times, huh? Funny fucking times. Alright, that'll be all for now for Higurashi. I'm not sure what the next stream will be. I'll have to work out a schedule for that for next week. But you know, like all the weekends, I won't be streaming and all that stuff. Maybe I'll do a stream on Monday, if not Tuesday. One of the two is definitely for the next stream. I'll see to it when I see to it. But anyways, give Nini some love and support, and I will see you all whenever I see y'all.